5, Theron Welch. Up front at center, John Newberry, number 10. The two wings are number 20, Ron Vincent, and number 24, Ted Pearson. Minnesota wearing the white jerseys with the gold trim and maroon and gold on the numerals. Wisconsin entirely clad in red with the white numerals, white trim. Minnesota moving left to right on your screen, Wisconsin right to left. We are underway. Minnesota controls the opening faceoff, and Bigstead drives the puck into the Wisconsin zone. McKenzie clears it away to the far side, picked up there by Vincent, drives it right back into the Minnesota end. Butters steers that aside. It's ripped back into goal, dumped back there by Pearson. They battle along the boards. Minnesota overskates it. Kanoki in, still not tied up. Goshen has it, dumps it back out in front. Newberry after it, loose puck, and it's deflected just wide of the goal. Pearson traps it up along the webbing. We'll have our first face-off of the game just 18 seconds into the first period, and we are scoreless at this stage, and we have our first confrontation or meeting of the minds, and we expect plenty of those tonight. A lot of bodies along with those minds, I might add.
Yeah, this has been a tremendous rivalry over the years. Tremendous rivalry over the years between these teams, and as we mentioned, they have never met in a national championship
Minor
tournament.
penalties for roughing.
All right,
after the whistle.
We have some penalties after the whistle.
Roughing after the whistle.
Newberry goes for Wisconsin.
Roughing after the whistle.
All right, Minnesota, very early, first minute of the first period on the power play.
Bill, this is one thing Wisconsin does not want to do, play shorthanded against Minnesota.
They do not. They were 4 of 6 on the power play against Michigan Tech in the semifinal game. 97 of 262 on the season, 37% on the power play, and anything over about 27 or 28% is considered very good on the power play, so they have been outstanding.
Bill, one other point we should make right here is that especially against Northern Michigan, and really all year long, but especially against Northern Michigan, the Wisconsin penalty killing unit just outstanding.
Well, they really did. Northern Michigan was 1 of 5 in the power play situations, but as you mentioned, Wisconsin did an excellent job, of course, scored a shorthanded goal.
No power play here because Jensen goes for Minnesota, and he goes for roughing also, so it's just a 4-on-4 situation. Jensen for Minnesota and Newberry for Wisconsin. So both teams a man short and an even up 4-on-4 situation.
Must have snuck him in from someplace. I didn't see him go.
I thought heard him say penalties at the outset, but then only Newberry went in, and it appeared that just Wisconsin was going to be penalized, but that is not the case. Almost an errant pass, but it does slide out to the center ice area. Picked up by Wisconsin, and the Badgers move it back in. This is Liebler. He got the first goal against Northern Michigan, puts it right into the crease, and Butters had to make the save on it. Kanoki comes away with it for Minnesota. Heads back to center ice. Long pass for Broten. Broten is dumped. And no call, and probably a correct call on the part of the officials because Neal really went down more from his own momentum than from any instrument used by a Wisconsin player. 1:07 remaining in the penalty times to Newberry and Jensen. Both teams with 4 skaters, no score early in the game.
Well, as you mentioned, Joe, Wisconsin not on a power play, but that is a factor and could become a very big factor in the hockey game, whether Minnesota can execute as well as they have all season long on the power play.
Face-off just outside the Minnesota blue line. By the way, Michigan Tech captured the number 3 spot with a 5-2 victory over Northern Michigan in the battle for 3rd and 4th place here in this building this afternoon. Puck comes into the Wisconsin zone. Badgers with it. This is Mullen. Long pass, feeds it up to the Minnesota blue line. Johansson couldn't handle it, and Bart Larson comes away with it for Minnesota. Larson with some nifty stick handling. Feeds it over to Erickson, and it's pumped right back in again by Mullen for Wisconsin. This is Meadows after it. Return pass to Meadows. Feeds it over in the far corner, and Minnesota heads back to center ice again. 18 minutes remaining in the first period. We are scoreless as yet. Puck overskated by Ngringa, and the Badgers drive it back into the Minnesota end. Thus far, Minnesota unable to penetrate the Wisconsin zone with any consistency. Wisconsin has kept the puck in the Minnesota end, but neither team with anything resembling a serious scoring threat as yet. But there is the first save of the game by Barron. And the face-off now coming up in the Wisconsin end. Just 10 seconds remaining. The penalties to Newberry and Jensen, then both teams back at full strength.
The last appearance for these two teams in the NCAA Final Four for Wisconsin in '78, they finished 4th. for the University of Minnesota in 1979. They won it all 4-3 over New Hampshire, and then the same score over North Dakota in the championship game.
Face off to Barron's right. Kerry Luck and Teal on the draw. They're tossed out. They'll be replaced by Gorowsky and Goshen. Puck control by Minnesota. Shot deflected. Goshen sends it to the near side. Puck picked up by Kerry Luck of the Badgers of Wisconsin. Still in the Wisconsin zone now. Badgers have it. This is McKenzie. Back of his own goal. Teal goes in after him. Both teams back at full strength. Newberry and Jensen are back on. The puck at center ice. Pass hit one of the Gophers in the back, and Teal dumps it to the Wisconsin blue line. It is held in by Goshen and Bugstead. Goshen back at the goal. McKenzie takes him into the boards, and Kerry Luck ties the puck up, and that'll bring a face-off. 17:09 remaining in the first period.
It's a good look at Theron Welsh, Weldon, Saskatchewan, team leading scorer last year, 227 points in his career, and they will certainly look for his leadership and the offense that he can provide, and he has done an outstanding job down the stretch in a defensive role as well, but a very offensive defenseman.
Face-off will be to the right of sophomore netminder Mark Barron. Newberry on the draw against Teal. Badgers control it, and McKenzie has it for Wisconsin. There's that high lob pass they like to use to clear the puck out of their zone. That found its way through some traffic, and Barron has to cover up. Stop play right there. Face off again in the Wisconsin end.
Well, Mark Barron does not take any chances on loose pucks. If he sees any danger around the net, he covers up, and that served him well in the semifinal game against Northern Michigan.
First 2 minutes of the period spent almost entirely in the Minnesota zone, and for about the last minute and 20 seconds we have been in the Wisconsin end. So both teams with territorial time, but neither with a serious assault on the other's goal. Puck in possession of Minnesota. We really have not seen the big line out there for Minnesota as yet, Bill. Their high-scoring line has not been out on the ice. Now here's Newberry, a very impressive freshman. Moving in, trying to put it into the crease. He has checked back at the goal, lost the puck, comes out with it, and he slides it through the crease to the far side. That's Darren Welch. Now Vincent around the boards for Newberry. Drops it out front. Nobody there but Gophers. Minnesota's Teal comes away with it, and Bugstead now up the right wing. Got by one man. Drives the puck into the Wisconsin end, but Goshen was in offside. We'll have yet another faceoff coming up. Tom Mees. The crowd a little quieter, it sounds like, up here than what we had anticipated.
Well, I think they are holding their breath, Joe, waiting for the first big break of the game. There's a sign in this building that indicates the intensity of the rivalry. It's off to my right. It says, in Wisconsin, a man is a man and a Gopher is a rodent. I think that sign says it all.
That sign, naturally posted by Wisconsin.
Yes, absolutely.
What was your first indication of that?
Got a slight hint, right? Ethier drives the puck into the Minnesota end. This is Meadows along the near boards. Avoids the check. Hartzell fails to clear the puck out. They still dig for it. Broughton tips it, but not out. It's held in by the Badgers. Broughton, or Meadows, rather, back after it around the boards. Wisconsin forechecking tenaciously right now in the Minnesota end. Long pass, just a little bit too far for Broughton, but it's into the crease area, and Barron had to make the save on it. Broughton hammers Driver into the boards. Puck still in the Wisconsin zone. Broughton with it, and Driver returning the compliment, and he goes down. We're going to have a penalty coming up on Driver. Driver's going to go. Minnesota this time will go to the power play. It'll be a hooking call.
Well, let's get a look at the holding penalty. There's the hook. Number 25, Bruce Driver, the freshman defenseman for Toronto, Ontario. He got a couple of bad penalties in the game against Northern Michigan, the semifinal game. One of them worked out to his advantage. He came out of the penalty box and was able to pick up a loose puck on an errant pass from goaltender Poschel behind the net and scored the third Wisconsin goal, but it remains to be seen if he can be that lucky again. Great power play from University of Minnesota. They were 4 of 6 against Michigan Tech.
They operated about 37% efficiency on the power play. Outstanding statistics in that department. Again, the penalty killing unit of Wisconsin just tremendous against Northern Michigan. We'll see whether that holds up here against the University of Minnesota's power play. Let's see Erickson with the puck. Feeds it out of the left point to Broten. Broten dumps it in. Aaron Broten returned, Erickson dumps it into the corner. Held in at the point. They bring it out front to Kanoki. Hartzell puts it in front, and fanning on it was Erickson. They go to the boards with Mullen tied up there. We'll have a face-off coming up, and you see just exactly there what Minnesota does like to do, Bill. Whip that puck around. They're just a shade off their timing right now, but if they get that down, and unless Wisconsin does what they did against Northern Michigan, really go out and pressure them, that could be a problem for the Badgers.
There's Wisconsin in a penalty-killing situation. Efficiency of right around 80%, and they killed off 4 of 5 Northern Michigan power plays with some very aggressive play, as you saw just a moment ago.
Face off to the right of Barron, the Wisconsin goalie. 1:21 remaining in the penalty time to driver. Minnesota controls the face-off. They dump it in front. McKenzie there to pick it off, and he drives it the length of the ice. In deep is Gorowsky. Gorowsky and Mullen will go in deep on the penalty-killing unit. They get some help from Careyluck in that department, and they like to put pressure on in the other team's zone while they are on the power play. McKenzie after the puck. Erickson after him. They send it around the boards. Held in by Kanoki. Picked off by the Badgers, and again they clear it down the ice. Thus far, Wisconsin doing a good job on this first penalty-killing effort. 45 seconds remaining in the penalty time to driver. Minnesota on the power play, first of the game for either team. No score. We have 14:25 to go. Battle for the national championship of collegiate hockey. Here's Kanoki into the Wisconsin zone. Tried to set it up out front. Badgers knocked it down, and Gorowsky clears it right back into the Minnesota end. They have just been unable to penetrate outside of that first trip into the Wisconsin zone, where they whipped it around pretty good, but the Badgers have broken up everything since that time. Aaron Broten with it. Broten, who has announced that he will turn professional next week, joining his brother Neal in the professional ranks. Badgers with the puck. Gophers unable to do anything on the power play. Kanoki around the boards for Aaron Broten. Driver back on. Wisconsin at full strength. Badgers did a good job of killing off penalty time. Here's Hartzell with it now in the Wisconsin end. 2 players getting tied up. They had a call back at the blue line, apparently an offside call, so a face-off outside of the Wisconsin blue line. 13:42 remaining, first period, no score.
Very good job by Wisconsin in the penalty-killing role. That gentleman, Mark Barron, had very little action. Mullen, Careyluck, McKenzie doing a very good job for Wisconsin.
Draw controlled by Lisi of the Badgers. Now Ethier drives it into the Minnesota end. Bergloff overskates the puck, but is picked up by Minnesota. Now Doshin up the right side, moves to center ice with it. Trying to get by the Badger defender. Ethier checks it away. Doshin has it, puts it out front, but only a Badger uniform there. That's broken up very nicely by Teal, who just bullied his way into the zone. Badgers pick it off, crank it along the boards, and it gets by Bergloff all the way back to the Minnesota end. Crowd much quieter than what I had expected for one, and I think for what most of us had expected. Here's Todd Lisi, dumps it to the far corner. Bjugstad after it for Minnesota, and it comes back out to center ice. 13 minutes remaining in the first period. I'm Joe Boyle, along with Bill Neal and Tom Mees here at the Duluth Arena in Duluth, Minnesota. You're watching the battle for the national championship of collegiate hockey here on ESPN, the network that brings you more hockey action than any other. Drive by driver, no pun intended. The puck misses wide on the left. Puck still in the Minnesota zone. Minnesota having trouble clearing their zone due to some tenacious forechecking by the Badgers of the University of Wisconsin. Here's Bergloff, check from behind, carries the puck in and then loses it. And the Gophers come away with it again. Aaron Broten trying to feed it over on the far side for Rothstein. Rothstein drives it into the Wisconsin zone. Minnesota with it, Meadows. And the pass goes under Rothstein. Here's Broten trying to put it in front. That's knocked down by Andringa and cleared off to the side. Now the Badgers come back with it. At center ice, they drive it into the Minnesota end. As Johansson puts it back at the Minnesota goal. Meadows there to pick it off for the Gophers, all tied up. Badgers really forechecking in the Minnesota end, Bill, and they really bothered Minnesota in that department. We have an icing call coming up, and that gives us a chance to remind you that we have National Hockey League action coming your way here on ESPN. The St. Louis Blues, the Minnesota North Stars, both teams looking for playoff spots. The Blues battling with the Islanders for the top spot. Minnesota with Boston for the number 8 position. North Stars about to add Neal Broten, who's in action here tonight. You'll see him in that game Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, and 5:30 Pacific time here on ESPN, your total sports network. 7:45 remaining in the first period, and we are scoreless. And very impressive forechecking, I think, by the Badgers thus far, especially in the Minnesota zone.
They really have, Joe. That's, as I mentioned in the open, that is one thing that they want to do, is trying to put some pressure on the Minnesota defense. They have been somewhat vulnerable there throughout the season.
Meadows with the puck, almost lost it. Now Hartzell carries on up the right wing, dumps it into the Wisconsin end. Barron there to get a stick on it, leaves it for McKenzie. Hartzell swoops in, picks it up. They bring it out to the point to Meadows, trying to put it in front. All tied up as Hartzell steers it off to the far side. Also with it now, the All-American wing. Back at the goal, Neal Broten back there. Everything in college hockey this year. Around the boards, Broten, the former member of the U.S. Olympic team, of course. All-American with Minnesota. Great nose backhand shot, and he may have hit the crossbar. I don't know. Barron got a shoulder on it. It appeared to crease the top of Barron's shoulder, and then may have hit the crossbar. They'll try to put it out front. Meadows, the defenseman, in deep. Vincent checking him. He dumps it back at the goal. And finally cleared away to the side by Welch. And Vincent trying to clear it out. Meadows there to intercept. Drives his shot. That's knocked down by McKenzie. And they clear it out to center ice. Finally, long pass to Newberry. Meadows trying to get back. Newberry moving in. Shoots, and is saved by Butters as he steered it wide. Puck picked up by the Badgers. They move in 2-on-1. Loose puck in front. They score! Wisconsin scores and leads 1-0. Either it'll be Newberry or Gorowsky, and I believe it'll be Gorowsky. Bill, you talked about that Minnesota defense. They got caught out of position.
Oh, they did, and the freshman John Newberry, who played so very well against Northern Michigan, very persistent, got the puck across to number 15, Dan Grabowski, the senior from White Bear Lake, Minnesota. He gets the backhand underneath the sprawling Paul Butters. The 12th goal of the season for Gorowsky. Very happy young man in Wisconsin, strikes first and early and goes on top 1-0.
Well, in talking to people, that was what a lot of them felt that the Badgers had to do. They had to get the lead and make Minnesota play their game. Thus far, they've been able to do that. They have the lead. Gorowsky scoring at 9:24. The assists to Newberry and Vincent, and Wisconsin leads it 1-0 in this battle for the national championship. Puck goes into the Wisconsin zone. Penalty coming up. It appears that Ethier is going to go. Pat Ethier will go. Minnesota will go to the power play again.
Red with interference.
Ethier goes for interference at 9:35. So Minnesota with a chance to get that goal back, and another test for that Badger penalty killing unit that has been so outstanding in this tournament.
Well, the man cannot play the man unless he is going for the puck, and in that case, Ethier did just that. He leads the team in penalties and will sit out another 2 minutes with Minnesota, back on the power play.
Neal Broten feeds it over to Kanoki, drives about 8 feet wide on the right side. Aaron Broten pulled it off the webbing, but the official caught it. We'll have a face-off out just inside the Wisconsin blue line from the point where Kanoki fired the shot.
Well, we talked a moment ago about what Wisconsin needs to do to win, and this is certainly not it. This is not what they want to do, is sit in the penalty box and give Minnesota the power play opportunities.
Thus far, Minnesota not anywhere near as impressive as they were against Michigan Tech. Bob Johnson, whose son Mark played on the 1980 Olympic team, and another son, Pete, leading scorer for this Badger hockey team. Not a bad hockey family. Coach and a couple of playing sons. Here's Neal Broten moving in. Broten dumps it off on the side. Quick shot by Erickson, hits traffic, picked off, held in by Neal Broten. Neal Broten over to Ulster, drives, and he's wide on the left with his shot, about 4 feet outside the pipe. Neal Broten there to hold it in, dumps it to brother Aaron back at the goal. One of the Badgers flattened out center ice, and Neal Broten is going to go. Neal Broten will go, and the Badger player down. So the penalty.
7 in the white on a cross check, got the other kid on a charge. I'm going to go get his number.
Well, they're both going to go. Broten goes on a cross check, and the player that is down, and we'll pick him up for you as soon as we can, will go for charging. So evidently, the player who was on the ice charged, and Broten retaliated with the cross check. The time of the penalties will be 10:11. So Minnesota will stay on the power play, and it will be a 4-on-3 situation rather than 5-on-4, and that could work to Minnesota's advantage, Bill.
Well, I think it will, Joe. There's no question that it favors the offense when the situation changes from a 5-on-4 to a 4-on-3, and Minnesota throws the puck around so very well. And between Ulseth, Aaron Broten, and Eriksson, who will be out there, they have 67 power play goals between the three of them on the season.
Well, Mullen is the player, evidently, that will be penalized. Well, he's gone into the penalty box, so it's not the player that is down that was penalized. This is Dan Gorowsky, and he is the man that's injured, shaking his head. Let's hope that he's going to be all right. We'll remind you here that WCT tennis is coming your way from Milan, Italy, here on ESPN. You'll see semifinal round action March 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 Pacific. And then the finals Tuesday, March 31st at 4 p.m. Eastern Time and 1 Pacific. You're invited to join Jim Simpson and Cliff Drysdale for all the action as the pros battle it out for some $200,000 in prize money under Total Sports Network ESPN.
No tennis jokes tonight.
No tennis jokes. Brian Mullen is the man that draws the penalty for Wisconsin, but Gorowsky the man that was shaken up on the play. At any rate, Minnesota will continue to operate on the power play, 4-on-3 for a minute and 24 seconds, and then the situation will equalize, 4-on-4. Wisconsin has Driver, Kerry Luck, and Andringa out there to kill this penalty. Bergloff, Teal, Larson, and Hartzell, power play unit for the University of Minnesota. Wisconsin leading 1-0 on a goal at 9:24 by the man who was just injured, Dan Gorowsky. There he is. That's Mullen.
That's Mullen. I think Gorowsky went into the penalty box. From our vantage point, we can't. I think they're waiting for him to go in.
The man in the penalty box right now is Ethier. That's who's there. And Mullen evidently will go in. So Mullen was the man that was flat.
Bob Johnson playing traffic cop over the bench. He was the NCAA Coach of the Year in 1977. Has brought the Badgers all the way to the final game again this year.
Well, originally they had charged Mullen with Karstner charging, but they've changed it now to roughing. And now they've changed it back to charging again. So Minnesota on the power play, and a drive by Bergloff. Barron almost mishandled it. Bergloff trying to hold it in, cannot. Bergloff with it, sends it rink wide for Bart Larson. Larson moves back into the Wisconsin zone, dumps it into the far corner. Hartzell in pursuit. Hartzell away from Andringa. A weak pass, and catching up with it is Kerry Luck, and he clears it back down the ice. Hartzell didn't get much on that pass, and Kerry Luck had plenty of time to catch up with it. Now here's Larson back for Minnesota again. 55 seconds remaining in Ethier's penalty time. Here's a drive. That's deflected. Goes up on the webbing, and we get the whistle face-off coming up.
Well, I'm very surprised that Coach Brad Buetow does not have Aaron Broten and Ulseth out there in this situation.
Well, he hasn't had on either one of the power plays thus far. He did have him early, but then took him off, and the Teal and
well, he read my mind. He read my mind. Here they come. Here they come.
Well, one member of that normal power play unit, of course, is in the penalty box, Neal Broten. Eriksson, Bergloff, Aaron Broten, and Kanoki out there now for Minnesota. McFarland is on for Wisconsin along with Welch and McKenzie. 45 seconds left in Ethier's penalty time. Bergloff with it. Fakes the shot, dumps it near corner, Aaron Broten. Minnesota not moving the puck around. Here's Kanoki trying to dump it in on the far side to Eriksson.
Good look at the triangle for Wisconsin.
And broken up very neatly by Welch. And McKenzie drives it into the Minnesota zone. Butters had to make the save, and Bergloff comes away with it for Minnesota. Bergloff, the big defenseman, drives, misses wide, and Eriksson following up on the rebound, couldn't quite catch up with it. Held in at the point by Aaron Broten. Broten feeds it to Bergloff. Bergloff tried to get the shot off, deflected. Kanoki has it, trying to dump it in front. Wisconsin clears it out of the zone, and that'll lead up the time on Ethier. He'll be back on, so the two teams will be with 4 skaters. Right now, 35 seconds remaining in the penalty time to Mullen and Broten, and then we'll leave it up at 5 apiece. Here's Aaron Broten with the puck. 4-on-4, Minnesota, Wisconsin. Kanoki shot is blocked, and Aaron Broten back to pick it up for Minnesota. That is Gorowsky after him. Broten feeds it out at center ice for Ulseth. He's checked from behind and goes down. And we've got a penalty coming up now. That goes against McFarland, and that's a penalty that we have seldom
Two in the red, hitting
year,
from
Bill.
behind.
We've seldom seen that called, Bill, this year, but it's in the book, and certainly there was not much doubt about it.
Once again, Minnesota will go on the power play. The good job that Wisconsin does here in a triangle situation. They simply play a zone. The triangle rotates. You can see the fine job that they have done. And once again, they will be in a penalty-killing situation. For 13 seconds, it will be 4-on-3, and then Minnesota will go 5-on-4 as Captain Jay McFarland. He's called the team enforcer, but right now he's in the penalty box.
Well, that's the 5th penalty of the game on Wisconsin. McFarland goes for checking from behind at 11:58. Wisconsin has been able to kill off the power plays very well so far. See whether they can continue to do that. Pinocchi in trouble along the near boards, and the puck cleared out by Wisconsin. Neal Broten with it. Puck knocked down. Minnesota on the power play, 5-on-4. Mullen in pursuit of Broten. And Mullen heads up to center ice. Broten with it into the Wisconsin zone. As the puck knocked off his stick, he goes in along the boards with Driver. Erickson there to dig it out. Now Aaron Broten trying to feed it out to the point. Nobody there. Ulseth trying to hold it in. Aaron Broten does. Back for Ulseth, right between his legs, and Wisconsin drives it right back down the ice. Minnesota does not look sharp on the power play at all tonight, Bill, and Wisconsin doing an excellent job of killing penalties. Here's Pinocchi back for the Gophers. They trail 1-0, 7 minutes to go in the first period. Pinocchi drives it around the board. Driver in pursuit for the Badgers. Ulseth in after him. Bukestad also in there. We have a whistle face-off coming up in the Wisconsin end with 53 seconds left in McFarland's penalty time. I think the biggest thing about the ineptness of the Minnesota power play to this point is that they are not putting any shots on target with it at all. They're not getting the shot.
No, they really have not moved the puck very well. They have not been sharp whatsoever in the first period, power play or not. Certainly much of that credit should go to Wisconsin for causing the kind of problems that they have from Minnesota, but in a power play and at full strength, they have just not been sharp, certainly not nearly as sharp as they were against Michigan Tech the other evening.
Tom Mees down the penalty box. You're getting a lot of visitors tonight.
I tell you, this is not a very lonely place. I'm sure the Badgers would like to leave it deserted, though. They're living dangerously, although up by a goal, continually putting Minnesota on the power play. You never know when they're going to pull the trigger.
Neal Broten with it. Again, Minnesota unable to control the puck, and again, Wisconsin able to clear it out of their zone and out of danger. Wisconsin also very proficient in the shorthanded department. They scored a shorthanded goal against Northern Michigan in the semifinals of this tournament.
Was that a big goal?
Big goal. They led 1-0 at the time and turned the game right there. Puck again cleared out by the Badgers. Just 25 seconds left in the 37% potent Minnesota power play, which has not gotten a smell so far in this game. Here's Neal Broten into the Wisconsin zone. Off the boards, and we had a whistle. See what the call is here.
Minnesota's players must have skated through the crease.
They'll bring it back outside the Wisconsin blue line for the face-off. Just 11 seconds left in the Minnesota power play. 6:13 remaining in the first period.
This is the reason for the whistle. Right there is the Minnesota player, Teal, skating through the crease, and the faceoff comes outside the Wisconsin blue line with 11 seconds remaining in the Minnesota penalty.
Minnesota playing in their 8th NCAA championship finale. They have been here 9 times, have missed the championship game just once, have gone home with the big trophy 3 times in those 7 prior trips to the finals. Puck in the Wisconsin zone. McFarland will be back on in just 4 seconds. And they clear it down the ice. It crosses the end line.
Pretty close.
Yeah, I thought it crossed before, but there was no call. So the puck comes out to center ice. Wisconsin has killed yet another Minnesota power play opportunity. Loose puck in the Minnesota zone. This is Gorowsky after it. Dumps it in the near corner. Picked up by Meadows of Minnesota. And we have a penalty. And Butters is going to be called right now for interference, the Minnesota goaltender. I believe that will be the call.
Well, we've had some strange things happen in this first period already.
there by, you got his number over there?
You are right. It is Paul Butters. Interference penalty. It is not something that happens an awful lot in the game of hockey, but goaltenders do sometimes get the penalty. You see him interfere with the Wisconsin player, knocking him down, preventing him from going for the puck. So Minnesota with 3 power play opportunities, failing to convert Wisconsin on their first. They're operating at 27% on the season.
Minnesota killing penalties at just over 76%. So we'll see how the Minnesota penalty killing unit operates now. Wisconsin on their first power play of the game, as goalie Paul Butters called for interference at 14-15. Wisconsin leads it 1-0, but they are on the power play with a chance to add to that margin right now. Minnesota, the #1 rated team in the country. Wisconsin rated at times during the season as high as #2. And they have battled their way to the championship game along with the Gophers of Minnesota. Welch there to hold it in. Vincent far side. They score. Butters was way out of position, and Newberry cranked it home. Vincent and Newberry will get the assist. Wisconsin leads it 2-0.
Freshman John Newberry, number 10 from Victoria, British Columbia, 2 assists versus Northern Michigan. A great feed from Ron Vincent. Newberry with a wide open net. Butters out of position. Power play goal for Wisconsin. That's Newberry's 29th on the season. They go on top 2-0.
14:49 the time of the goal, and Vincent and Welch, I'm sure, will get the assists on Newberry's goal. That's a big one for the Badgers. They have jumped on top of Minnesota 2-0. Minnesota used to being in front. We'll see if they can come from behind. They have not been behind too often this year. Puck goes into the Wisconsin end. Badgers with their game plan intact right now, playing just where they want to. Here's Bergloff, a shot. He's tied up. Nice defensive play by Liebler to take the puck away from him. Let's see Erickson now for Minnesota. Erickson puts it in the skates of Aaron Broten. Dumps at the far corner for Rusty. Rusty around the boards, and there's no Gopher there. Bergloff hustles over to hold it in. The pass picked off out in front, and they clear it out to center ice. Larson banks it off the boards, picked up by Rusty. Got it by one man. Now Driver goes in after it. Here's Rusty. Dumps it back at the goal for Aaron Broten. Aaron Broten trying to put it out front. Broten with it. Again, back at the goal, and he loves to operate from behind there, although there's not as much room in this rink back at the goal as there is in his home ice at Minnesota. He really does love to operate from that position.
It's quite a tremendous difference, as a matter of fact. You know, the ice surface here, 190 by 85 of Minnesota, surface some 210 feet, so there's about 20 feet difference in length, and there was a lot of talk going into the Michigan Tech game that would affect Minnesota. It certainly did not in that game, but perhaps it is in this one.
Mullins comes away with the puck, clears it out to center. Back into the Minnesota zone. This is Jensen after it for Minnesota. Pursued out front by Johansson. Long pass, knocked down by Andringa, and then banked off the boards by Neal Broten as they tried to get it up to Olsen. Puck in the Minnesota zone. Neal Broten after it, checked by Mullen. Mullen takes it away from him, trying to put it out front. Loose puck. Butters there, save. Another shot, a backhander. Butters has it underneath him. A big save by Butters right there, because Wisconsin came that close to going up on top 3-0. Big chance for the Badgers, but Butters foils them this time.
We talked about son Peter Johnson of Coach Bob Johnson, and he gets a tremendous scoring opportunity, and Paul Butters does a great job to prevent Wisconsin from going up on top 3-0. Look at the save there as he was down and scrambled back into position. Pete Johnson, the junior from Madison, Wisconsin, with a great scoring chance and a good save by Butters.
Face off in the Minnesota end. It's been pretty much all Wisconsin thus far through the first 16 minutes of the first period. Surprising a lot of folks. They have really stymied the #1 rated Gophers of the University of Minnesota. Vincent in the far corner. Ridden off the puck. Jensen comes away with it, clears it to center ice. Picked up there by Welch. Welch puts it right back into the Minnesota zone. This is Bart Larson with it. Back of his own goal. Around the boards, trying to feed it over to Goshen. Broken up by Welch again, and cleared to the blue line, but not out. Well, yes, I guess it did come across the blue line. Newberry there trying to hold it in, but the official said it came across the blue line, and that caused the offside, so we'll have a face-off coming up.
So Wisconsin, of course, lost to Colorado College. Won the first game 8-2, lost the second game 11-4. There's a sign down at the one end, Colorado College 13, backdoor Badgers 12, but they certainly do not look like the backdoor Badgers right now.
Not as far as we have played thus far. See whether they can continue that pace. Thus far, they have played very, very well. Lieber trying to put the puck in front, knocked away by the Gophers' Bugstead. He, in turn, has it knocked off his stick. Now Jensen has it. Lacey checking him. And Scott Lacey now checking Goshen to the boards. We'll have yet another face-off. And again, that tremendous forechecking in the Minnesota zone by Wisconsin has paid off for them in 2 goals. 3:08 remaining here in the first period. Wisconsin leads it 2-0. I'm Joe Boyle along with Bill Neal and Tom Mees here at the Duluth Arena, Duluth, Minnesota, with the National Collegiate Hockey Championship on the network that brings you more hockey action than any other, ESPN. Puck in the Minnesota zone still. Rothstein after it. Now Kadoki there to pick it up and clear it out to center ice for Minnesota. Wisconsin putting on continuous pressure throughout this first period, have kept the Gophers bottled up in their own zone, and the Badgers doing just a great job of that thus far. Kadoki off the boards, held in again by Wisconsin's Liebler, and Lacey trying to dump it into the corner, instead puts it into the crowd. Face-off will come outside of the Wisconsin blue line.
Well, of course, after the loss to Colorado College, Wisconsin was selected by a selection committee to advance and went to a very tough Clarkson College team and won 3-2 and then tied 6-6, and that's what got them here, and they have really played well and certainly had to play well against a very fine Clarkson team.
They defeated Northern Michigan in the second semifinal game 5-1 to earn the right to meet Minnesota in the championship affair. And there were a lot of folks talking, and as we were, that the Badgers were out to prove that they belonged here and erase that backdoor label. They did that with a win over Northern Michigan, and they certainly have done that thus far in this game and lead Minnesota, the #1 rated team in the country, 2-0. Puck into the Wisconsin zone. Erickson after it, tied up from behind. Aaron Broten trying to hold it in. Erickson there. Puck comes to the point of Bergloff. Drives his shot, and he missed wide on the right. Minnesota has put very few shots on target here in the first period. Barron has not had to make, I don't believe, Bill, if I recall right, a difficult save in this period.
No, he really has not. He had a couple of close-in shots, but there really wasn't much behind the shots, and he's been there when he has had to be, but as you mentioned, very few good opportunities for Minnesota. They are just not sharp in the first period, but perhaps that is because Wisconsin is playing so well.
Tom Mees, we're looking at it from up above. It looks very physical from up here. How about from your angle down on the ice?
Oh, it's very physical indeed. One player that's getting special attention with the Golden Gophers is Neal Broten. They're singling him out, are the Badgers, for physical play, and Broten seems to be complaining quite a bit to the officials, sometimes to no avail.
Okay, thank you. And Neal Broten, of course, operating with an elbow that is in a fiberglass protection, and his flexibility with that arm not completely what it can be at times. And if I remember right, Bill, Michigan Tech took some runs at him early to check that elbow. It didn't seem to bother him, and he played very well in that first game.
Well, he did. He had a goal and 2 assists against Michigan Tech, and he had indicated yesterday that it was not bothering him. Certainly Wisconsin will take a shot or two go after him a little bit. Broten did not play in the 10 previous games before the Michigan Tech, so he still could be a little bit rusty.
Face off in the Minnesota zone now. To the left of goaltender Paul Butters, controlled by Wisconsin. Pumped in beside the goal by Lacey. They battle back at the net, and Minnesota comes away with it. Now Hartzell back to center ice. Feeds a right wing pass up to Broten. Neal Broten trying to put it in front, and Lacey back to cover up on that. Badgers back checking as well as forechecking in this game, and doing a good job of both. Todd Lacey bringing the puck into the Minnesota end, battling out front with Larson. They got their sticks up a little bit. Puck still in the Minnesota zone, picked off out front and cleared out into the center ice area. 1:30 remaining in the first period. It's been all Wisconsin so far. A power play goal by Gorowsky and then Newberry at 14:49. Excuse me, Newberry's was the power play goal. Here is Lacey and Larson getting their sticks up a little bit.
Get the feeling they don't like one another too much.
A couple of native Minnesotans having at each other. Look at that Minnesota ash swinging around up there.
A couple of little guys going at it up there. They're not usually the big bruisers that are doing that.
Alsop goes to the boards with Pete Johnson. Comes away with the puck. It's held in for the Badgers by Johansson. Now back at the goal with it is Jensen. Starts to move out. High lob pass into the Wisconsin end. Mullen back to pick that up. Larson trying to hold it in. Does, and then lost it. And Jensen back to cover up for Minnesota with a minute left to go in the period. Puck into the Wisconsin end, and Gringa and Neal Broten going after it. Broten trying to get the face-off if he can, and Gringa there with it. Broten just stood back and watched it. Alsop comes away with it for Minnesota. Drive by Jensen. That hits traffic, comes to the near board. And Mullen just golfs at it and sends it back into the Minnesota end. That should bring an icing call. It does, and they'll bring it back into the Wisconsin zone for the face-off with 39 seconds remaining in the first period. Bill, this is the time you don't want to give up a goal.
No, certainly not the last minute. Always important in a hockey game. Look at the difference in the shots on goal. Wisconsin has played very well. It's indicated right there. And as time ticks off in the first period, it's very important for Wisconsin to get out of this period, maintain the 2-0 lead. Of course, Minnesota would like very much to get on the board in the last 39 seconds.
Face-off will be to the left to sophomore netminder Mark Barron. Jeff Teal for Minnesota. And for Wisconsin, John Newberry. Newberry controls the draw. Puck goes back at the goal. Teal after, put it right out front. Goshen tried to pick up the puck and drive a shot home. He couldn't get the handle on it and deflected to the far corner. Minnesota coming as close as they have in the first period to getting something going. Here's Kanoki, a drive. Barron makes the save. Rebound, another save by Barron. They put it in front and Barron falls on top of it. Stops play with 17 seconds to go. First real serious threat for Minnesota in the game.
And I think we can look for Bob Johnson to change his line now. This line has had their problems in the last few seconds, and Minnesota coming very close, getting some good scoring opportunities. Brad Goshen particularly in close. That is Goshen in front, rather.
That's Kanoki. Kanoki with the long drive.
Bjugstad is the one with the shots, and Barron coming up with 3 saves right in a row. That's the most action he has had the entire first period.
That's the first real shots Minnesota has put on target. They have been way off target with their shots to this point in the game. Long pass down into the Minnesota zone, breaking in the Badgers. Butters outscored! It's 3-0 Wisconsin, and what a big goal that is. The goal, I believe, by Ed Liebler. What a big goal. The Gophers had just batted the doors down, failed to score. Wisconsin with a long pass. Liebler picks it up and scores, makes it 3-0.
Power play goal against Northern Michigan. Ed Liebler with a breakaway with just 11 seconds to play in the period, and we talked about Minnesota trying to get on the board. They certainly did not want to fall down another goal. That is exactly what happens. Ed Liebler, the senior from British Columbia, scores his 27th goal of the season, and what a big goal it is. He beats Butters to the right of Paul Butters. Wisconsin on top, 3-0.
Face-off controlled by Minnesota. They drive it into the Wisconsin end. And time runs out with the puck in the Wisconsin zone. And the Badgers go to the dressing room with a 3-0 lead. Very quickly, here's the way the scoring went. Gorowsky scored for Wisconsin at 9:24, gave the Badgers a 1-0 lead. Then Newberry at 14:49, a power play goal, made it 2-0 Wisconsin. And then with just 11 seconds remaining in the period, Ed Liebler on a breakaway made it 3-0 Wisconsin. With the only assist on that goal going to Pat Ethier. That's the way the period ends, and the Badgers go to the dressing room, leading the University of Minnesota 3-0. We'll have more hockey when we return to the Duluth Arena.
Tell you what, a wild and woolly first period up in Duluth as the Badgers have a 3-0 lead. Here's a look at that first goal scored by Wisconsin and senior Danny Gorowsky as he gets in and he slides the puck under goalie Paul Butters for the first score. And we'll take a look at more highlights, and we'll have a live remote from Altenbach's, but all of that and more right after this.
Stylish, durable, comfortable. Wouldn't your backyard look gorgeous with lawn and patio furniture like this? It can, now more than ever during the preseason sale at Benson's. Save for a sunny day. 5-piece furniture sets start from only $199, and with every 5-piece set you buy, you get an umbrella free. Any set would look great around your new pool, in or above ground from Benson's. We've got more than ever before at your total recreation store, Benson's, 1.5 miles east of Easttown.
Love. Love is a seashore in the moonlight. A distant symphony calling from across a timeless meadow. Love is a misty morning. Sparkling sunshine. Or the warmth of a glowing fire. Listen and celebrate love. Love Stereo, WLVE 95 FM. Beautiful radio, love.
Anchor has individual retirement accounts.
Otherwise known as IRA accounts.
IRA accounts are special savings
That
accounts
help you provide for your retirement years.
They're tax deductible now.
And earn the highest possible interest.
And now, Anchor has its own IRA.
To help you get acquainted with the Super Savings Plan.
Come on in, Ira, and introduce yourself.
Hi there, I'm Ira.
He's a friend you can write off. It's a tax deduction, Ira.
I knew it all the time.
When you think Ira, think Anchor.
Great fashions begin with a thoughtful design, followed by a precisely executed sample, and a showing of the new line. That's where Westtown comes in. Westtown buyers have collected the best from around the world. They're on display at the mall as part of the celebration of the new season's fashions. Westtown, where the best of everything is together for you.
It won't take long to see it's true that Westtown brings the best to you.
Well, the Badgers are 1/3 of the way home to their third national championship, 3-0 after the first period of play. Danny Gorowsky got things going in the first period. Are you surprised that the Badgers are up 3-0?
I think they're proving that Minnesota has no goalie and no defense.
I can quote you on that, huh?
Sure.
Okay, all right. Danny Gorowsky came up with the icebreaker for Wisconsin. A good move by the Badgers on offense there.
Just hard work keeping the puck in the zone by Vincent, and then Newberry picking the loose puck up and over to Gorowsky.
Taking candy away from a baby. Danny Gorowsky, almost a forgotten man earlier in the year. He came along about a quarter into the season, and he's been an effective man out on the ice ever since. Here it is on the replay. Just slithers it under the pads of Paul Butters, the goalie for Minnesota.
I think they caught the Minnesota defenseman out of position, and you can't have that in a game like this where, you know, they're going to take advantage of it.
Okay, our next shot on our highlight list is a penalty against Wisconsin, and it was against Pat Ethier.
I think you can't take penalties against Minnesota, at least, well, tonight I guess you can, at least the first period they've gotten away with it, but Minnesota has too good a power play to, you know, be on it all the time.
Apparently he didn't care for the call by John Ritchie, a WCHA official. The other official tonight from the WCHA is Dick Haig. Here's the injury to freshman Brian Mullen. Apparently he got caught in the old Adam's apple, I guess.
Yeah, and that's it's a painful injury. Neal Broten must have cross-checked him as he charged at him, and he's a guy you can't have hurt.
Both Broten and Mullen were sent to the penalty box where they stayed for the next 2 minutes. We'll be back with more of our first period highlights and that live remote, but first these commercial messages.
It's all up to you, and you're gonna do it.
Ben, I'm leaving. Oh, right. Listen, I got a chance to start my own shop. Thank you for everything.
Give that man a blue ribbon. Give that man a blue ribbon. 'Cause that's the way of saying that you're really most impressed. Pabst Blue Ribbon beer.
Sometimes I get carried away, but this receipt reminds me to stay in control. Wish I had these at home so I'd remember to use my big oven for more than one thing at a time. And that heating bath water costs a lot more than a shower. Was your dishwasher full today? Or could it have waited till tonight? Since I sent for my free MG&E kit, I've got real ideas on how to control costs. Try it yourself. Call MG&E for a kit.
Welcome to First Federal Savings, your financial oasis.
Now you can save taxes while you plan for retirement. Take advantage of First Federal's individual retirement accounts, KEO plans, or the all-new SEP, or Simplified Employee Pension Plan. If you want to retire to your oasis, then come to our oasis and leave your financial worries behind.
First Federal, your financial oasis.
Is there still room in this world for a great mid-sized car with style? You bet there is, and we've got it. The 1981 Pontiac Le Mans. This is one mid-size that more than holds its own in the looks department. It will hold 6 adults comfortably, monitor your engine's performance with its own onboard computer, and attain the greatest mileage possible. It's not just a small world, after all. Roominess is still in style.
With a $700 rebate off the top.
A wild and woolly first 20 minutes up in Duluth, Minnesota, as the Badgers lead the Minnesota Golden Gophers by the score of 3-0. Just how wild and woolly is it, Mary, at Altenbach's right now?
Well, Van, I tell you, when Newberry scored that second goal, I thought these people went nuts. But when Liebler scored the third goal, they let up a hoot and holler that they could have heard in Detroit. Duluth! They could have heard it in Detroit, too, but they could have heard it in Duluth if they were listening. And right now, we've got a couple people standing by who are taking time out from their busy game schedule to talk to me for a little while here. And right now, Mike, for a dyed-in-the-wool hockey fan, how does tonight's game compare with last night's game?
Tonight, the Badgers are much more aggressive. They're playing a much better forechecking game. They're chasing and beating the Gophers to the puck, and we have a better than lead than we had last night at the end of one period. We're ahead by 2 more than we were last night. And I feel that if they can play a normal second period instead of their average seconds as we've had this season, we have a very good chance of beating them. And we will be the champs!
Now we're going to go to another Mike. Mike, why did you pick a bar to go and watch the hockey game at?
This is the next best place to being out there at Duluth. I couldn't get tickets, so I came down with all my friends and just raised a little hell down here and cheer the Badgers on to victory.
How does the atmosphere down here compare with what you hope would be the atmosphere up at Duluth?
It's better. Well, it's better because everybody's drinking at this time, but not completely the same. I mean, when you're out there, it just, while anything goes out there. But this is the next best thing. If I can't be there, I'm glad I'm down here.
Okay. And within reason, what would you be doing if you were up in Duluth instead of down here?
Censored.
And Lynn, you can step up here. How do you think the rest of tonight's going to go here?
Well, it's going to be Badgers all the way. What else?
Well, Van, you heard it here from Altenbach's. These people are ready to go all night if they have to, and I'm sure they will.
Okay, thank you, Mary. As soon as she gets Duluth and Detroit straightened out, we'll send her to Escanaba, and maybe she can find her way up there. Okay, we'll be back with more of the first period highlights, but first, these commercial words.
True Value, more than a name, it's quality. Dependable name brand products at prices you can afford. It's selection, the kind you have a right to expect from the nation's largest hardware chain. And it's service, the added benefit you won't find everywhere else. When you're looking for a store that does more than sell merchandise, look to True Value. More than a name, it's our way of doing business.
We made it! Keith, wrestle up some of that there Stroh's beer.
Coming up.
Excuse me. My, that sure looks pretty. Mighty tasty, Slim. I'm worth the trip, Colorado. We come 1,000 miles for this here Stroh's beer.
Not surprising. Happens every day.
Yes?
Excuse me. I say, old chap, a cold bottle of Stroh's, please.
I like him.
Does your car knock and ping and knock? What a pain. Get Mobil Super Unleaded Gas with higher octane.
From New York City, the next Merv Griffin Show presents The World of Dance.
Bowling, the bug
Ducks, and the state high school basketball tournaments. Sports is happening, and when it does, you can count on News 3 Sports for responsible, reliable, and complete sports coverage. For sports as it happens, look to News 3 Sports and Van Stout, weeknights at 6 and 10.
Who was that masked marauder anyway? I never seen him before in my life. Okay, 3-0 after the first 20 minutes of play. We go look at the highlights now. John Newberry made it 2-0 for Wisconsin. Almost a wide open net for the freshman.
Well, it was a good setup by Ron Vincent. He was wide open, and another mistake by the Gophers, and Badger in the right spot.
Since Newberry scored that goal against Clarkson on Saturday night, he had been in a scoring slump. I think that I talked with him before he went up to Duluth, and it really did wonders for his confidence.
I think shots that didn't go in before are going in now, and he's in the right spot a little bit more, and he's just getting the puck in the scoring zone.
Butters, as you can see, really caught out of position there. Okay, the Badgers still wanted more, and they got more. With just 11 seconds left to go in the first period, Ed Lieber skates on in on a near breakaway and slid it right through the Butters' legs, and that made it 3-0, icing on the cake.
It was it's a great way to end the period, a bad way for Minnesota. Now they're deep in trouble, 3 goals down, and it's going to be tough for them to come back.
You know, Mark Barron, up until about the last minute of play in the first 20 minutes of action, he really wasn't called upon to make very many saves. Do you think perhaps he might have needed that first period as a breather in the way that he had to work on Friday night?
I don't think so. I think he's ready to go for 3 more right now. I don't think if you're tired. It's so much excitement and emotion in the air. And
in that first period, the Badgers killed a lot of penalties. Do you think that will have a telling factor on them in the third period toward the last 10 minutes of the game?
I don't think so. They're in good shape, and they've worked hard all week, so I think they're ready. I think they just can't afford to get too many more penalties.
Now, if you're Brad Butow, what are you telling your Gophers? Without using any expletives, I guess, what are you telling them right now?
They have to go in and they have to forecheck like Wisconsin is, and not let, Minnesota and now Wisconsin get the puck out of their zone.
You know, the Gophers coming into it, they're top ranked in the country. They had a 37% on their power play. They had a number of power play opportunities they couldn't cash in on the first period. What was wrong with their power play?
I just think they're not making the quick passes, and they're not shooting enough on the power play. They're letting Wisconsin do what they want just about penalty killing.
Now, if you're Bob Johnson, tell them just not to crawl back into a shell, still be aggressive?
Well, they have to be aggressive. They got to keep the puck in Minnesota's zone and come back and help out Barron, which they're doing well.
Okay, 3-0 after the first 20 minutes of play. We'll have the next 20 minutes for you. First these words, and we'll go back to Duluth.
Isn't this a great place for a savings and loan office? You come here about once a week anyway, so by planning ahead, you're able to fit your financial business right into your regular routine. You save time, you save gas. It's a great idea. And Anchor thought of it. We have supermarket offices in Dodgeville, Darlington, Lancaster, and Boscobel. Hi. Anchor Savings. You'll find us where you need us.
Just like the people of southern Wisconsin, folks on faraway worlds may be faced with problems. Great album music always helps out when Beltline traffic is a real pain in the snout. Good company lightens the load on those days when you just don't seem to have enough hands. Badger fans all over the universe need to catch the scores. Accurate weather reports keep them on top of the weather instead of underneath it. In southern Wisconsin, you'll always be in tune with your world. Get the news, sports, weather, and the finest album rock from WMAD 92 FM.
Joe, he was not very busy throughout the first period. Wisconsin taking the play to Minnesota much of the time. This finally an opportunity for Minnesota. Kanoki's initial drive from the point, saved by Barron, and then watch Scott Bukestad get a couple of good scoring opportunities. And Barron again with one and yet another save. He able to cover up and thwart the scoring opportunity for Minnesota, really the only one they had in the entire first period.
Right after this melee around the goal, Pat Ethier of the Badgers picked up the puck, threw it down the ice. It was picked up there by Labler, and they'll pick it up from there.
He sails in all alone, Joe, on the off wing. You can see why a lot of coaches like to have their wingers on the off wing. He's a left-hand shot on the right side, the stick closer to the middle of the net, and he beats goaltender Butters to his right, Liebler the goal, Ethier the assist. 19:49 of the first period. Just 11 seconds remained in the period. A big goal for Wisconsin. They're on top, 3-0.
University of Minnesota pep band performing here in the Duluth Arena. 11-8, Wisconsin out shooting Minnesota in that first period, and those 3 extra shots went in for the Badgers. Tom Mees, you're down at ice level, closer to the crowd. A Minnesota crowd a little stunned, I would imagine.
I should say so. The last time they trailed by this big a margin in the national championships was to Michigan Tech back in 1976. They went on to win that game, so Wisconsin had not better sit easy on this lead, and I don't think Bob Johnson will let them, but the Minnesota people are sort of in a state of shock, Joe.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. I had the pleasure of doing that game between Michigan Tech and Minnesota, and Tom is absolutely right. Minnesota was behind 3-0. There's the shots as we gave them to you, 11-8 in favor of Wisconsin. The penalty minutes, 5 penalties for 10 minutes for Wisconsin, 3 penalties for 6 for Minnesota. We are underway, second period of play, and Bill Neal, the first 3 or 4 minutes of this period got to be very, very important for Minnesota.
They need to get the offense on track. That part of their game has brought them here. They need to get going.
They have not done much in the way of forechecking in the Wisconsin zone throughout the first period either. Kanoki trying to hold the puck in, puts it in front, but there's nobody there but red uniform players, and Ethier clears it out to center ice. Here's Newberry into the Minnesota zone, fires to the far corner. Doshin over to pick it up for Minnesota. The Gophers head back to the Wisconsin end. Doshin up the right wing. Quick shot, saved by Parendy. Hangs on to the rebound. And we'll have a face-off coming up.
Joe, a 3-on-3 situation. John Newberry, the freshman, showed a little bit of freshmanitis. He was back checking. He had the wing covered, but drifted into the center of the ice and went for the puck carrier. Left the Minnesota left wing all alone. As a back checker, the forward wants to stay with the winger. Let the defenseman play the puck carrier man on man.
3-0. The Badgers of Wisconsin surprising a full house here in the Duluth Arena, leading the #1 rated team in the country, the University of Minnesota's Golden Gophers, in the battle for the national championship. I'm Joe Boyle, along with Bill Neal and Tom Mees, here at the Duluth Arena for all the action. Hope you're enjoying same. I'm sure the folks in Wisconsin are along our network lines. Backhand shot by Lacey, and a save by Butters, and a big one right there for the Minnesota netminder. As Scott Lacey came in unattended, went for the backhand shot, didn't get it. Minnesota carries it into the Wisconsin zone now, sends it back at the goal. Picked up by the Badgers' Todd Lacey. He and brother Scott playing a line. Almost an interception right there for Minnesota's Hartzell, but he couldn't quite pick up the puck. Drive by Ethier, offside, back at the blue line. Face-off coming up with 18:47 remaining in the second period. Two teams will change lines. There is Bob Johnson, head coach for the Badgers at the University of Wisconsin. Career record, 360 wins, 215 losses, 25 ties. Puck comes back into the Minnesota end. This is Meadows with it. Off the boards, out to center ice, picked up there by McFarland. Right back into the Minnesota zone. And again, Bill, we see both netminders doing quite a bit of it. They're not coming out back of the goal and stopping the puck. Butters right there watched it go by, and I'm sure the active boards here in the Duluth Arena have a lot to do with that. They're just letting the puck slide by the back of the goal.
The boards are very active. They have to be very alert on any shots in around the net, any hard shots.
Aaron Broten dumps it back of the net for Rothstein. Rothstein puts it out front. Pete Johnson intercepts for Wisconsin. Sends Mullen back up the left side. He clears it into the Minnesota zone. Meadows back to cover up for Minnesota. Down goes Johansson, and Minnesota comes away with the puck. Aaron Broten, rink-wide pass up the right side, drive by Butsy Eriksson, and he misses wide on the left. Puck held in by Jensen. Dumps it back in the goal. Aaron Broten goes in along with McKenzie. McKenzie checking Broten. Now Mullen drops it back at the goal. Minnesota there to pick it off. Centering pass, loose puck in front, and coming away with it, the Badgers. Mullen holding it in. Eriksson for Minnesota. Then cleared out in front and down into the Minnesota zone by Wisconsin. Bill, Minnesota has picked up their forechecking in the Wisconsin zone here in the second period.
Now they're finally getting some opportunities.
Here's Bukestad at drive. Missed way wide on the left as he was all tied up, and Barrett covers up the puck as it comes off the boards. Face off again in the Wisconsin end with 17:27 to go in the second period in Wisconsin. Holding on to their 3-0 lead. They've got all 3 of their goals in the first period.
On the season, Minnesota and Wisconsin. Minnesota in 4 games, won 3 of the 4 games, but they have a long way to go to come back to win this one. They trail 3-0.
Earlier this season, along our ESPN network lines, we had the pleasure of doing the Minnesota and Providence series out of the University of Minnesota's rink, and Providence led Minnesota 4-1 at one stage in that game, and Minnesota came away a winner in overtime. That was that game. We'll see what happens in this one. A drive, and the puck went behind Barron. Now it's crept up alongside the goal, and we have a stoppage of play right there, and that's about as close as Minnesota has come to scoring, because Barron did not know where that puck went after he got the initial save, and fortunately it came down back of the goal.
No, he did not, Joe. Referee Charlie Holden in great position. The puck bouncing, and you could see it go right between his legs and flip up in the air and in behind the net. It appeared it may have gone into the net at one point, but as I mentioned, the referee in position, and the puck eventually tied up against the side of the net.
Dillon took the shot, almost scored on it. On the draw. Still no one in possession. Now it comes away to Ron Vincent, and he clears it out of the Wisconsin zone. Driven right back in again by Dillon of Minnesota. Now cleared out to center ice for Vincent. Long pass. Couple of Badgers floating up near the Minnesota blue line, and they were almost in behind the Minnesota defense. Dillon with it now for Minnesota. Teal. Long, high loft pass. And again, we should point out that they are using the NCAA rule here, not the rule that these two teams play with under normal situations. They do use the red line in certain conditions. That is not holding in this tournament, and that's one of the reasons we've seen some breakaways, Bill.
The red line is not in effect for either icing or the long pass. During the season, the red line is in effect for icing. In other words, an offensive player must cross the red line before shooting it in, but neither team has used that an awful lot, but there have been some...
did on that one goal, on the Ether's pass.
Some long passes.
On the Lieber goal, Wisconsin did use it.
Well, the pass has always been legal, the long pass.
Puck comes back into the Wisconsin end. They battle along the boards for it. Broten cannot pull it away. Now they bring it out to Larson at the point. He drives his shot there and there to make the save as Broten was camped in front of the Wisconsin goal. Puck still in the Badger zone. Held in by Broten. Broten after the puck. Neal Broten with it. Taken into the boards by Ethier. Now Elsa feeds it out front. Jensen trying to move in, cannot. Stolen away by the Badgers and Scott Lacey. Lacey slides it over to Brother Todd. Now here's Scott, a drive, and Butters got the glove on that to steer it over the top of the glass, out of play. Big save by Paul Butters at the Minnesota end of the rink.
Great 2-on-1 opportunity for the University of Wisconsin's brothers Scott and Todd Lacey. Give and go. Scott eventually takes the shot, and Bart Larson, diving, just failed to get the stick on the puck, and Butters had to come up with a big save, deflected the puck into the crowd.
Just barely got the tip end of his glove on it. 16:09 remaining in the second period. Wisconsin still leading 3-0. That's the first scoring opportunity for the Badgers here in the second period. Aaron Broten on the draw for Minnesota. John Johansson for Wisconsin. Johansson got what proved to be the winning goal for Wisconsin against Northern Michigan. Aaron Broten into the Wisconsin end. They hustle after it. Mullen, Rothstein along the near boards. Aaron Broten. Now Pete Johnson comes away with it. Jensen trying to hold it in. Broten trying to catch up with it. Does. Off the boards. A little bit too far for Aaron Broten. Picked up now by Jensen of Minnesota. Jensen into the Wisconsin zone, loses the puck. Still in the Wisconsin end. Aaron Broten with it. Puts it on the right side of the goal. Buttsy Erickson after it. He is checked by McFarland and goes down. Mullen around the boards. Aaron Broten in the near corner. He is checked into the boards by Andringa. Quick shot by Meadows. And Barron got a stick on that. We may have a... Well, let's see. The official calling, asking John Ritchie where the face-off will come, and it will come in the Wisconsin end. Deflection by Wisconsin out of play. 15:24 left to go in the second period. Face-off coming up in the Wisconsin end. Teal on the draw against Scott Sable for Wisconsin. Terryluck dumps it back at the goal. McKenzie, now Welch. Gorowsky trying to feed it up ice to Sabo, and we get the offside call. Tom Mees, a much more intensive style of play for the University of Minnesota in this period than we saw in the first.
Oh, they're doing a lot better job of keeping the puck in the Wisconsin zone, Joe. I want to ask the fans to watch out for a particular matchup. Whenever Neal Broten, number 7 for Minnesota, is on the ice, and number 4, Pat Ethier, big defenseman for Wisconsin, is on at the same time, look out for that matchup. Ethier has been making Broten his own personal target all night.
Puck comes back at the goal, picked up by the Gophers of Minnesota.
That's the wrong guy to get mad at you. Tough customer.
Puck comes into the Wisconsin end now. Carey luck around the boards. This is Bugstead after it for Minnesota. Gets by one man. Bugstead and McKenzie battle for it. Carey luck trying to dig it out. Does Teal in there. Muscles his way around Welch. Puck cleared around the boards and cleared out to center ice by Gorowsky. Now here's Sabo with only one man back for Minnesota. Sabo played nicely by Larson, and the puck cleared out to center ice. Driven right back in again by Wisconsin. Gorowsky. Minnesota with it as the Badgers change on the fly. Long pass down to the Wisconsin blue line, deflected by Welch. He goes in along with Ulseth. Ulseth in there. Neal Broten sweeps in, puts it in front. A loose puck. Hartzell was there. They battle for it, and McKenzie comes away with it. We've got a whistle. Penalty coming up, and it'll go against Wisconsin. Time of the penalty, 5:48. Minnesota back to the power play.
5 in the red on a hold.
Penalty goes against Aaron Welch.
Aaron Welch, the All-American last year for the University of Wisconsin, will serve a 2-minute minor penalty. Watch the initial save coming up by Behrens. Then the holding in front of the net. That is the reason for the penalty. Minnesota unable to connect on 3 power play opportunities in the first period. Get their first opportunity here in the second period. They must get the power play going.
Ulseth, Erickson, Kanoki, and Aaron and Neal Broten on the power play. 1 for 1 Wisconsin, 0 for 3 Minnesota power play statistics. This is Kanoki. Drives the shot. That's knocked down as it hit the point man out front, Mullen. Minnesota with it in their own zone. Kanoki heads back to center ice. His pass again deflected by Mullen. Minnesota trying to penetrate the Wisconsin zone. They drive it in. And it's pumped right back down the ice by Driver. Wisconsin every bit as impressive in this game in their penalty killing as they were against Northern Michigan. Minnesota just unable to penetrate and get anything going on the power play. And again, it's broken up and driven down the ice by Driver. 1:19 remaining in the penalty time to Welch. Key situation in this game for Minnesota. They have to get on the board fairly soon. They're down 3-0. The battle for the national championship here in Duluth, Minnesota. Neal Broten. Pass a little too high, but it's picked up and carried on by Butsy Erickson. Erickson trying to get it set up for the Gophers. Lost it. And again, the Badgers clear it out to center ice. Here's Gorowsky with only one man back. Gorowsky shoots, Butter saves. So again, Wisconsin ever dangerous in shorthanded situations. Now Minnesota back with Erickson up the right wing. Drops it for Aaron Broten. Return pass for Erickson. Driver trying to clear it out. Cannot. They bring it out to Kanoki. Kanoki dumps it in. Picked off by Driver. Now Gorowsky and Wisconsin again breaks it up. And Minnesota just unable to do a thing with their power play. Here's Carey luck. And Broten go to the boards. Puck is loose. And Minnesota comes away with it. They break out now 5-on-3 with Carey luck still in the Minnesota zone. Neal Broten gets it up to brother Aaron. Over on the side. Drop past Erickson. His shot deflected and steered away easily by Barron. Cranks it off the boards. And Neal Broten cannot hold it in. We had a whistle. Playing the puck over the shoulder with the stick to call. Face-off will come in the Minnesota end with just 9 seconds left in this power play. And Wisconsin continues to impress on their penalty-killing unit.
They really have. What a job they have done, particularly Mullen and Grabowski and Karoluk in a penalty-killing role. And just 9 seconds remain for Minnesota. Now the face-off back in their own end. They will have to move the puck very quickly to take advantage of the power play opportunity. Northern Michigan against Wisconsin could not get much of anything going. Finally connected later on, but Wisconsin again doing a very fine job in a penalty-killing role.
And this against one of the best penalty or power play units in the country, if not the best. Certainly Minnesota, the most proficient scoring machine in Division I hockey in the country. And thus far, their sticks have been completely silenced in this game as Wisconsin has shut them out. Badgers came within about 10 minutes of scoring a shutout against Northern Michigan. They had shut out the Gophers through the first period and a half. Meadows with the puck for Minnesota. His pass deflected. The Badgers just continue to forecheck all over the ice. They are all over the Minnesota players, giving them no opportunity to get anything going at all.
Mike Meadows, sophomore from Hibbing, Minnesota. He's an all-state high school player and a very physical player, very physical game. He is not a goal scorer, as you can see, has failed to score a goal this season, but his size is played a very big role in the win over Michigan Tech. They'll look to him to provide more of that physical play in this game. They need it right now.
Puck comes into the Minnesota zone. Jensen with it. Got Lacey in there. Meadows around the boards for Teal. Teal clears out to center ice. Picked up there by Bugstead. Bugstead cranks it up and drives it, and it just goes over the top of the goal. Loose puck in front. Teal after it. Dumps it back at the goal. Jeff Teal in pursuit. He goes to the boards along with Vincent. Puck comes loose. Bugstead after it. Bugstead picks it up for Minnesota. Tried to slide it out in front. Held in by Minnesota. Bugstead. Near corner centering pass. Goshen all tied up. Couldn't get his stick on it. Ethier clears it away to the side, and now the Badgers come back to center ice. That's picked off by Minnesota, dumped back into the Badger zone, and carried out to center ice by Driver. And Driver has it and dumps it back to the Minnesota end. We have 11 minutes to go in the second period, and Wisconsin holding on to that 3-0 lead here in the Duluth Arena. I'm Joe Boyle along with Bill Neal and Tom Mees. Battle for the National Collegiate Championship. Rothstein into the Wisconsin zone, almost lost it to Newberry. Backhand shot, and Barron just got a pad on that one. Not much mustard on it, but it almost snuck through. Now Newberry up the right wing. Rothstein takes him out of the play. A shot, Butter saves. Rebound, they score again! Pearson puts Wisconsin up 4-0.
Would believe it, the University of Wisconsin. The backdoor Badgers, they're called, and right now they lead it 4-0. Ted Pearson, freshman from Edina, Minnesota, one of 8 freshmen playing for the University of Wisconsin, his 6th goal of the season. He scored the 5th goal against Northern Michigan and gets a very big one right here. Liebler will get an assist, and Wisconsin on top, very surprisingly, 4-0.
Pearson with the goal. Liebler and Newberry will get assists at 9:23 of the period. And Wisconsin with a big 4-0 lead. That Wisconsin goal, Bill, very, very big because Minnesota had been pressuring throughout this period. Only their second real scoring opportunity of the period. They make it pay off, and they now lead it 4-0. Icing call will move it back to the Wisconsin end for the faceoff.
Well, now, Joe, that next goal becomes very, very critical because with Minnesota, with their potent offense, 4 goals, they could overcome that if they could get a quick goal or two and get some momentum. But 5 goals.
Wisconsin gets it. It's Katie Barr the door.
5 goals becomes
I agree with you. With
very, very difficult.
With Minnesota's offense, if they can get the next goal, they have a possibility. But if Wisconsin gets it, and here come the Badgers again. Newberry hits the outside of the goal post. Puck in the Minnesota zone. Art Larson after it. Clears away to the side. Pearson has it out to Welch. Pearson after it. Picked up by Larson of Minnesota. Newberry fronts him, and he feeds it over on the near side. Bergwald, long pass down into the Wisconsin end. That will bring an icing call with 9:56 remaining in the second period. Wisconsin leads at 4-0. And we have a chance here to remind you about Top Rank Boxing coming your way here on ESPN. And it's the ESPN and Top Rank Junior Middleweight Championship bout between Tony Braxton and Al Clay. All comes your way Thursday, April 2nd at 9 Eastern Time, 6 Pacific Time on your Total Sports Network ESPN. Face-off will be to the left of Minnesota netminder Paul Butters. Draw controlled by Wisconsin. Kringan couldn't control it, though, and Minnesota picks it up. Here's Hartzell moving in, trying to dump it in front, and we had a whistle back up ice, offside at the blue line. Evidently, one of the Gophers had gone in too soon.
Joe, Minnesota just not sharp. Again, an indication, a scoring opportunity. They go offside at the blue line, just simply dumped the puck out down the ice, got an icing call on Minnesota. Really did not look for anybody. Minnesota not sharp at all at this point.
Certainly bears no resemblance to the team we saw against Michigan Tech as yet. Neal Broten out front, a loose puck. Here's a drive by Dillon, and Barron there to make the save. Steers it off to the side. Broten with it back at the goal. Checked by Johnson. Broten is decked, and Johnson's going to go. Going to have a penalty call, a hooking call. So Minnesota will go back to the power play. And now, utterly imperative that they pick up a goal here.
This will be their 5th power play opportunity. Peter Johnson hounding Neal Broten.
11 in red with a hook.
Hooks him from behind. Broten threw the puck out in front of the net. The whistle had blown, and Pete Johnson, noted for his work on the power play, he leads the team in power play goals, will now serve a penalty once again. Wisconsin in a shorthanded situation.
Very crucial point for Minnesota right here. Face off to the left of Mark Barron, the Wisconsin goaltender, and Driver there for Wisconsin to clear the puck down the ice. Tom Mees, the Minnesota crowd is quiet. The Wisconsin crowd absolutely delirious.
Well, and they have good reason to be. You know, Minnesota is 0 for 4 going into this power play tonight, and they were very proficient the other night of the Thursday night game.
Minnesota on the power play. Erickson with it. Now they've got a man loose. Neal Broten has brother Aaron trailing on the play. They feed it rink wide for Alseth. Here's Erickson. And it went off his stick. He had a beautiful scoring opportunity. Couldn't control the pass. They bring it out to Neal Broten. Out front to Kanoki. Kanoki with it. Trying to dump it in for Butsy Erickson. And then Dringa there for Wisconsin. Fanned on it. Neal Broten holds it in. And now Wisconsin again fails to clear it out. And finally, Gorowsky drives it into the Minnesota zone. 1:10 remaining in the Minnesota power play, and then the penalty time on Pete Johnson. Boy, Erickson had a great chance there. Couldn't pick up the puck. Here's Alseth moving in. Slides it back out to the point to Kanoki. Kanoki back in to Aaron Broten. Aaron Broten very hesitant. Erickson takes the shot. Barron saves, and Driver falls on top of the puck. We'll have a face-off coming up. Aaron Broten had a beautiful scoring opportunity. Instead of taking it, he looked for someone to pass to.
Well, here's the shot taken by Butsy Erickson. He has 17 power play goals on the season. The shot deflected up high. Barron with the save. And Joe, as you mentioned, Aaron Broten has had 2 or 3 opportunities in the game, but appears to be very lackadaisical and just does not seem sharp. He had some time and just stood around, and by the time he got the puck to Erickson, Erickson was covered.
Face off into Wisconsin end. 54 seconds left in Johnson's penalty time. Wisconsin controls the draw. McKenzie trying to clear it out. Held in by Minnesota's Kanoki. Kanoki dumps it in the near corner. Picked up there by Erickson. Erickson back out to Kanoki. Slides it over for Neal Broten. Back of the goal for Aaron Broten. Tied up by McKenzie. Feeds it out to Neal Broten. 30 seconds left of the Minnesota power play. Neal Broten puts it right on McKenzie's stick. And McKenzie clears it back into the Minnesota end. Mullen goes in after Kanoki. Ties him all up. And also in there, Johansson for Wisconsin. Erickson battling with Johansson. Now Kanoki comes away with the puck. Kanoki with 14 seconds remaining in the Minnesota power play. Long pass. Deflected by Neal Broten, but picked up and cleared down the ice by Wisconsin's Jay McFarland. Vincent battling along the near board. Johnson is back on the ice for Wisconsin. The Badgers have killed another Minnesota power play. Here's Alseth. Alseth moving in. Alseth drop pass and score! Beautiful feed from Alseth to Butsy Erickson, and Minnesota's on the board. Not a power play goal. Wisconsin was at full strength.
A great feed by Alseth to Erickson, and he makes no mistake about it. Barron with no chance. Erickson with all kinds of time and a wide open net. He connects for his 38th goal of the season, and a very big one it is for Minnesota. They needed very much to get the next goal. They have done just that. Here's another look. 4-1 Wisconsin. Erickson from Alseth. We'll see if there's another assist.
Kanoki gets the other assist. Kanoki with the other assist. 12:37 the time of the goal. It is 4-1. We'll see whether that wakes Minnesota up. Wisconsin controls the draw. They dump it back into the Minnesota end. It is 4-1. Wisconsin leads it. Minnesota has gotten on the board for the first time in the game. And here they come again. And we had a whistle. And playing the puck above the shoulder with the... Well, we may have had a penalty call coming up against the University of Minnesota. Hugstead.
I got 27 in white with a high stick.
Bugstad high sticking. Minnesota didn't need that.
Right, Scott Bugstad, the sophomore from New Brighton, Minnesota. Big improvement over last year. Had just 4 points as a freshman. He's a sophomore now, 25 points on the season, but right here gets a very unfortunate penalty. Minnesota just scoring a goal moments ago, and perhaps with an opportunity to pick up some momentum and cut the lead yet again, but now they will be shorthanded. Wisconsin on the power play. They have just one power play opportunity in the game, and they converted that on a goal by Newberry.
So Wisconsin on the power play, batting 1,000% in that department so far in the game. That's the 4th penalty of the game for Minnesota, or yes, for Minnesota. Puck in the center ice area. Minnesota thus far with 7 shorthanded goals. Wisconsin has been much more proficient in that department this year. They have 1 shorthanded goal in this tournament. Puck goes back into the Minnesota end. Kanoki back after it. Still has the puck, looking for an open spot, and finds it. 1:25 remaining in the penalty time to Bugstad. 6:30 remaining in the second period. Wisconsin with the same margin that they skated off the ice at the end of the first period with a 3-goal lead. They lead it 4-1. Here's Pete Johnson moving in. He's got Newberry trailing. Butters has to make the save, and the puck cleared away. Good pass from Johnson to Newberry. Now here's Johnson at the right point. Feeds it over on the left side to Welch. Welch has a good shot from out front. Scott Lisi with it at the right point. 55 seconds left in the Wisconsin power play. This is Scott Lisi. Puts it in front. Right there was Pete Johnson looking for the deflection. Just missed. Now Newberry with it. Newberry waiting for the man to break into the slot. Newberry feeds it out to Lisi. 40 seconds left in the Wisconsin power play. Newberry drives his shot, and that goes over the top of the goal. He got it up too high. Welch out to Lisi. Minnesota not putting pressure on the Wisconsin forwards, allowing them to throw the puck around in the Minnesota zone. Puck held in by the Badgers. Picked up by Newberry. They break in all alone. Newberry shoots, scores! Minnesota got caught out of position, and Wisconsin gets the goal right back. It's 5-1. Newberry's second goal of the game.
Freshman John Newberry from Toronto, Ontario, and he has just done an outstanding job in this tournament. Minnesota rather got caught bailing out of their own end shorthanded, and Newberry picked up the puck again. A left-hand shot on the right side. Why the coaches like to do that in a power play situation. He beats Butters, his 30th goal of the season, his second of the game, second power play goal, and Wisconsin very quickly up again by 4 goals. They lead it 5-1.
Newberry from Scott Lisi on the assist, 14-27, the time of the second Wisconsin power play goal of the game. They are 2 for 2 in power play attempts in this game. And they have not had a power play goal scored against them in the game, and I think that's the whole difference right now, Bill. They have been letter perfect in penalty killing and in power play conversions, and they lead it 5-1. Puck in the center ice area, dumped into the Wisconsin zone. Picked up there and fed around the boards by Driver. Gorowsky after it, picked up by Larson. This is Jay Larson. Langevin, as Minnesota has a 4th line out there right now. Badgers with the puck in their own zone. They feed it up to Kerry Luck. And now it's picked up by Sabo. Sabo tied up from behind. Picked up by Minnesota. Jay Larson drives it into the Wisconsin end. Barron grabs that and drops it off to the side of the goal. Picked up there by Gorowsky. 4:35 remaining in the second period, and Wisconsin completely in control of this game at this stage. And Ethier and Meadows. The officials jump in very quickly.
Good call by the referee. Good call. He's going to give Meadows a penalty, and it's well deserved.
I got him roughing after the whistle.
What number?
What number, John?
Meadows goes for roughing after the whistle. 15:28 the time of the penalty. Wisconsin 2 for 2 in penalty or power play opportunities. Will have another run at it. They could really put it away right now, Bill.
They really could. That is some of the frustration beginning to show on the University of Minnesota. They are not used to being behind like this, and Ethier and Meadows got into a bit of a shoving match, and then Meadows just turned around and gave him a swat across the back of the head right in front of the referee. A bad penalty from Minnesota, and Wisconsin, as you mentioned, 2 for 2 on the power play, and they're back at it again.
Well, if you take into consideration the power play opportunities that Minnesota has failed to convert and the power play opportunities that Wisconsin has, you have the differential in this game. Badgers just awesome in their penalty killing. They have not given Minnesota much of anything on the power play. And Minnesota has had ample opportunities on the power play. This will be Wisconsin's third power play opportunity. They have converted on their first two. Face off outside the Wisconsin blue line. Teal and Lisi on the draw. Vincent, Lisi, Johnson. Liebler on the draw. He is out there also along with Welch on the Wisconsin power play unit. Bergloff, Jensen, Goshen, and Teal, the penalty killing unit for Minnesota. The Badgers back to the attack. Jensen picked it off, couldn't get it out of the zone, and it's carried in by Liebler. Liebler back of the net. Minnesota again scrambling around in that box. Here's Lisi.
They've got to apply pressure.
They're not coming out of the box. They're going after the forwards. Johnson was all alone on the right side of the goal, and Butters falls on top of that. Pete Johnson was all alone, and we've got another penalty against Minnesota, I believe, as Vincent is decked. Bergloff is going to go. So Minnesota's going to operate 2 men short here.
We got the same thing again with a rough after the whistle.
I've got to agree with them. I've got to agree with them. Minnesota losing their cool. The Wisconsin players not retaliating. They're drawing the Minnesota players in. They know they are frustrated. And now Bob Bergloff leads the team in penalties with 85. Now he will serve a penalty, so a tremendous opportunity for Wisconsin. They will have a 2-man advantage for perhaps a minute and 28 seconds.
Well, a chance really for the Badgers to salt it away now. They lead by 4. They have a 2-man advantage. Even if they score a power play goal here, they would still be on the power play. Only 1 man would return for Minnesota. Crucial point for the Gophers of Minnesota. They have got to get out of this if they're going to stay alive. They are already down by 4, can afford to go down no further, especially the way Wisconsin has been playing. Pete Johnson out to the point. They slide it over to Scott Lisi. Dumps it into Johnson. Johnson has his pass deflected by Jensen. Johnson checked. He and Jensen go to the boards. They run down 21 seconds off the penalty clock. 1:07 remains now in Meadows penalty time. 1:39 remains in the penalty time to Bergloff. 3:39 remaining in the second period.
Minnesota 2 men short will try and play with the triangle we talked about earlier. Play a zone. They simply rotate. Doing a pretty good job here, but they have a long way to go yet. And Wisconsin has an excellent power play, an excellent group of players on the power play.
Lacey holds the puck in, gets it over to Welch. They feed it over to Johnson on the near side. Pete Johnson with it. Johnson feeds it over to Welch up the pipe. Passed on the wrong side of Vincent. Vincent with it in the far corner. 50 seconds remaining in Meadows time. And this time Vincent's pass over to Pete Johnson, who was again all alone, and he misfired on it. They bring it out front to Welch. Now Scott Lisi moving in. Feeds Vincent. Vincent trying to pass in front, and Butters down to smother that.
Oh, what a play that was.
Butters, great play, because Johnson again was all alone on the far side of the goal.
What a play by the University of Wisconsin. As you mentioned, a great save by Butters. Good heads-up pass from Lisi. Vincent attempting to throw it to Johnson, who was wide open, and look at the expression on Pete Johnson. Oh, I had one. Great save by Butters.
38 seconds remaining in Meadows penalty time. 1:10 remaining in Bergloff's penalty time.
That's exactly what Wisconsin needs to do. Get the puck in behind the triangle, and they've done it 2 or 3 times.
Boy, Johnson has been left all alone over there. Here's Lisi. Up front, Welch, and again, Johnson misfired. Good pass from Perrin Welch, and Johnson pulled the trigger too quick, drove it into the corner. Here's Lisi. Now Welch back out front to Lisi. Lisi shoots, saved by Butters, and he hangs on to it. 21 seconds left in Meadows penalty time. 53 seconds left in Bergloff's penalty time. Minnesota trying to get out of a do-or-die situation if they're to stay alive and have any hope of picking up a national championship here tonight.
Wisconsin like a finely tuned machine as they throw the puck around, and again a good scoring opportunity, and Paul Butters with another big save, 21 on the night. The other night he had just 21. He has almost that many in this game so far.
Loose puck in the Wisconsin zone, and for the first time, Minnesota able to clear the puck out of their end. 15 seconds left in Meadows' penalty time. Aaron Welch with the puck for the Badgers of Wisconsin. Feeds a right wing pass up to Pete Johnson into the Minnesota zone. He has Jensen out front. Now he drops it back to Lacey. Lacey to Welch. Welch moving in, trying to get it over to Pete Johnson. Loose puck picked up by Minnesota. Meadows is back on there, one man short. They tie it up along the boards. Now a 5-on-4 situation for 25 more seconds for the Gophers of Minnesota, down by a man. They have killed off one part of a two-man short situation. Tom Mees down at ice level. We can see pretty well from up here, but from your level, the Badgers really attacking that penalty-killing unit of Minnesota.
Well, they certainly are, and only several good saves by Paul Butters on this two-man and now one-man advantage has kept Wisconsin off the board again. A few minutes ago, Pete Johnson, of course, who's missed several golden opportunities on the power play, on the 5th Wisconsin goal, he made a diving effort to keep the puck in the zone. I felt that helped to lead to that last goal. It's the kind of thing you won't see in the newspaper tomorrow, but it was a big play for the Badgers.
Still 25 seconds left in the Wisconsin power play. McFarland sends it to the near corner for Newberry. Newberry already has 2 goals in the game. Shoots again. Butters kicks that out of there. Whistle. Activity in front. May draw penalties. We'll see. May have been a Wisconsin player in the crease, and I think that was the call. They bring it back outside the blue line. So that helps Minnesota. Gives them a little breathing space for a few seconds. 16 seconds remaining in Bergloss penalty time. Minnesota gets out of this, Bill. Could be a big lift for them.
They need something.
They still got 16 more seconds to fight off.
They need a big lift right now.
Wisconsin has controlled the game almost from the very outset. Have played extremely well. Give the Badgers a lot of credit. They had the tag and backdoor coming in here, and they certainly have proved that they did not deserve it. 10 seconds remaining in Bergloss penalty time. Exchange of words. The officials step in very quickly. Pat Ethier of the Badgers of Wisconsin. Certainly a home state loyalty means nothing to a lot of these Badgers. A lot of them come from Minnesota. They would like nothing better than to defeat the largest school in their home state.
7 players from the state of Minnesota playing in this game for Wisconsin. Of course, the entire Minnesota team from the state of Minnesota.
Minnesota gets the draw and drives the puck into the Wisconsin end. That should just about do it for the penalty time remaining for Bergloff. Minnesota with the puck. Teal whips it back at the goal. Bergloff back on right now. Minnesota has skated off a 2-man short situation, so they got out of a precipice type of situation. They still trail by 4, but they are not out of the game at this stage. Wisconsin with a chance to put it away, failed to do so. Puck in the Minnesota zone. We have just 1:45 remaining here in the second period. Again, a lot of pushing and shoving going on. And we're going to have a penalty handed out here against Wisconsin. Elbowing is the call, and it will go against Pat Ethier.
Watch Pat Ethier coming in and watch the shot from behind.
18:50, the time of the elbowing penalty on Ethier.
That is Terwilliger and Pat Ethier, who leads the team in penalties. Sophomore from St. Paul, Minnesota. And now a big opportunity for Minnesota. I think, Joe, very critical that they take advantage of this power play. They're 0 for 5.
Puck comes into the center ice area. Driver fires it back into the Minnesota end. 1:37 remaining in the period. Minnesota on the power play will be so for the remainder of this period unless they score. Puck goes back at the Wisconsin goal. The Badgers have been letter perfect in penalty killing thus far. Puck picked up and cleared down the ice by Johansson. For Wisconsin, a loose puck. Butters almost in big trouble right there as he almost misplayed the puck. Mullen, who is an excellent penalty killer for Wisconsin, was there trying to jam the puck loose. For a moment, it looked like it was going to come loose, but Butters finally hauled it in.
Now, Brian Mullen leads this Wisconsin team in shorthanded goals with 3. They have 10 on the season. Got a big one from Johansson in game 1, and Mullen comes very close right here.
Oh, did he come close.
Butters just simply lost the handle of it.
1:12 remaining in the period. Minnesota on the power play. They're down by 4. Puck into the Wisconsin end. Minnesota power play has been very ineffective thus far in the game. Driver again fires the puck down the ice. I said I wouldn't say that anymore. Drives the puck down the ice. Here's Broten back. It is bad. Broten into the Wisconsin zone. Clears it out front. Kanoki drives a shot and a save as it hits the traffic in front. Broten with it, trying to get it out to Kanoki. Does. Kanoki sends it rink wide to Butsy Eriksson. The pass goes behind Ulseth. Aaron Broten. Ulseth in, kicks it loose for Aaron Broten off the boards for Kanoki. 25 seconds left in the period. Here's Neal Broten for Butsy Eriksson. Drives the shot and what a save by Barron. A terrifically hard shot by Butsy Eriksson. Barron got the blocking pad on it and then fell on top of the rebound. Nothing pretty about it, Bill. Just a good save, and the rebound came down behind him. He fell on it. Hard shot by Eriksson.
He really let a cannon go. Just spun around, took the pass from Neal Broten. And Barron came up with a good save. He has not been tested too severely in the hockey game, but when he has been called upon to come up with a big save, he has done so.
20 seconds remaining in the second period. Minnesota down 5-1 on the power play. Eriksson with the puck. Checked along the near boards, and Wisconsin trying to clear it out. Bergloff there to hold it in, and now the Badgers clear it down the ice. That should just about do it for what remains of the second period. Neal Broten, back of his own goal. Set sail for the other end. Broten by one man. Cranks up, misfired on the shot. Barron steers it off to the side. The buzzer sounds, and that is the end of the second period, and the Badgers head to the dressing room with a 4-goal lead. Scoring in the second period for Wisconsin. They led 3-0 at the end of the first. Pearson at 9:23 of the period. Then Eriksson for Minnesota, their only goal of the game thus far at 12:37 to make the score. 4-1. Newberry with the power play goal, his second goal of the game at 14:27. Boosted Wisconsin's margin back up to 5-1, a 4-goal lead. That's the way they go to the dressing room. That's the end of the second period. With the score Wisconsin 5, Minnesota 1. We'll be back with more hockey after this.
My folks say they give me allowance so I can learn how to control money. I might learn a lot more if they put these slots on hair dryers that you use until you think you're perfect. Or lights you don't turn off when you leave your room. Hey, why are you listening to me? Did you leave your garage door open? I got this free kit from MG&E for my family. Why not get one for yours? And help make sure there's enough energy for our future.
Hi, Pat Summerall to talk to you about your local True Value hardware store. He's one of more than 5,000 dealers buying together for less to save you more. But because he owns and operates his own store, his success depends on you. And he has to do more than just offer name brand merchandise, and he does. He also offers friendly, helpful advice. So the next time you see the words True Value on a hardware store, you'll know why True Value is more than just a name. It's their way of doing business.
Welcome to First Federal Savings, your financial oasis.
First Federal has developed an oasis of new financial services like Visa, MasterCard, Time, and interest-earning Now accounts. Stop by First Federal's financial oasis and leave your financial worries behind.
Do you need a truck that's rugged, dependable? A truck that works hard, plays hard? A truck that is tough, yet smooth and quiet? You'll need a truck with power, but with a high EPA rating. Our GMC trucks are aerodynamically designed for a higher EPA rating, but they're tough, they're dependable, and the price
includes a $700 rebate off the top.
Well, we're at the end of 2 periods. Wisconsin has a commanding lead, 5-1. Are you starting to smell that third national title?
Well, they're doing things that they set out to do. They're doing it right, playing good hockey, and I think it's coming closer.
Did Bob Johnson have a good game plan tonight, in your estimation?
Well, I think he's doing what he wanted to do. He wanted to forecheck, pressure Minnesota, not let them get the chances.
Okay, I tell you what, it's been the freshman show tonight, much like it was last night. Wisconsin up their lead to 4-0 on a goal by Teddy Pearson at the 9:23 mark into the second period. If you can, as we go to the highlight here, describe what happens.
It was the same type of goal last night. Newberry got the puck over to Liebler, took a shot, and Pearson was right there for the rebound, just like last night.
They're not clearing the puck when they make the save either.
There's no, you know, all their defense were watching up ice, watching initial play, and forgetting about what's going on behind them, and Wisconsin's capitalizing on it.
Okay, here we see it on the replay again. The slow-mo, the initial shot taken by senior Liebler. Butters makes the initial save, but he can't find control of the puck, and there's terrible Teddy Pearson to be in the right spot at the right time. Here it is again. You see Liebler coming up ice. Not even a good check there. Suter would have knocked him off his feet, huh?
Well, I think, see, all Minnesota guys are all looking up ice and are not helping out the goalie at all, and, you know, it's not really his fault. He's making the first save.
Okay, the Gophers finally broke the ice when Butsy Erickson, on a near wide-open net, Mark Barron never really had a chance. Oh, I'm sorry here. I jumped one step ahead of myself. This is a save by Mark Barron. And the Gophers just have not had any luck at all in their power play. Now here's the goal by Butsy Erickson on a near wide-open net. Nice pass there by Ulseth.
Ulseth made a good play, got the puck in the slot, and Erickson was wide open, and he put it away.
Okay, we'll be back with more of our second period highlights as you see the goal one more time right after these commercial messages.
Excuse me, sir. I'm extremely thirsty. You wouldn't happen to have any Stroh's beer, would you?
No, but I got some nice cold water.
No. I really had a taste for some Stroh's.
There goes a real beer lover.
Cecil's his name, and he's staking his claim on the best Western gear you can wear. You're never too old to play cowboy, and Cecil's will help you to change. So slip into some boots and put on your hat and look for that home on the range.
Cecil's Boot Ranch on the Capitol Square.
I am going to make one more attempt to tell you about how we make Wiener chicken at Lamb's. First, we select fresh, plump chickens. Then we spit roast them in their own natural juices. But the real secret of Wiener chicken is that... Cut! What do you mean, cut? I did not even finish. I don't understand what... I haven't finished yet. It's chicken like you've never tasted chicken. That's chicken at Lamb's.
Another building plan we can't afford.
The budget's fixed.
We need more space. I know. More Okay. time. Any alternative?
Let's see what a Varco Pruden builder can do.
Who?
Varco who? Varco Pruden. They solve building problems like ours.
Well, let's give it a try. You know, Barco Prater gave us a lot of building for our money, on time and on budget.
Varco Pruden.
We're Mid-State Mental Buildings and Debco Corporation. Call us.
Well, the Wisconsin Badgers are 2/3 of the way home to their third national title. They lead arch rival Minnesota 5-1 after 40 minutes of play. If we can, let's take a look at the remaining highlights that we have in the second period. Wisconsin wanted more, and they got more from another of Bob Johnson's freshmen, John Newberry. He came up with a second goal of the night. Number 10 also has 2 assists on the night. Picks up some loose change as he just skated in on net.
Well, I think Minnesota got trapped up ice. They thought they were going to clear the puck, and Pete Johnson held it in and got all Minnesota guys trapped up ice, and Newberry went in alone.
Boy, he skates in well with the puck, doesn't he?
And he put a low shot on the ice, I think, right past Butters.
Here it is again, one more time. Butters really never had a chance. He deked him one time too many. Butters went for one deke, and next thing you know, it was in the twine. And here's a save by Mark Barron. I tell you what, he's doing another super job at the net stand. He hasn't made that many saves, but when he's been called upon, he's been Johnny on the spot.
Minnesota really hasn't had the opportunities that they had in that Thursday night game against Tech, and when he's called on, he's doing the job.
Speaking of Michigan Tech, by the way, they won third place this afternoon as they beat Northern Michigan in the consolation game 5-2. You played up in Providence in '78. Did you want to play that consolation game?
It's a tough game to get up for. You know, you're there to win the NCAAs, and when that slips by, it's hard to get up.
Kind of feel sorry for both teams in that spot, huh?
It's like a, you know, a loser's game, really. And
kissing your sister, as they say in the old tie, I guess, or something like that. Okay, 5-1 is our score after 2 periods of play. Just to kind of bring you up to date as to what Bobby Suter is doing these days. He's no longer a student, as you know, a former member of the Olympic hockey team, the team that won the gold medal up in Lake Placid 1980. But you're also doing something locally here that if fans are not familiar with it, it's Suter's Golden Medal shop there, huh? You do a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
I'm in my own business now and running a sporting goods store on the east side of town, and it's been fun. I've learned a lot. And
who is that little cookie monster on your left?
That's my little youngster. It's Justin. He was born last year, April 7th. So.
Yes, your wife, Diane, she didn't know quite whether to have the baby or have the gold medal when you guys came back from Lake Placid. What all do you sell there?
It's right now the big thing was hockey when I got opened up, and I'm going to go to the seasons and, you know, sell with softball. And it was a bait shop, so I'll keep it at that too.
What kind of hours are you keeping? Pretty long ones, huh?
They're long hours right now. You know, I'm open early in the morning for the bait, and it's, you know, runs 10, 12 hours a day, so it's long hours, but I'm learning.
You're selling mopeds too, or does that just happen to be in there?
I'm going to maybe go into that a little bit.
Jack of all trades, master of none. All right. And you're also going to be continuing playing hockey also, correct?
Tomorrow I'm leaving to go up to Minneapolis and train with the U.S. national team, and hopefully I'll go over to Sweden in a week or so.
You're pretty familiar with the head coach of that team, aren't you?
Yeah, Bob Johnson, you know, asked me to play with him, and so I just got to get back in shape.
Do you feel that you're close to being on top of your game? Now, you've been working out with the Badgers, I know, for a number of weeks now, but how far are you from being competitive, ready to play?
The big thing you need is you need the good competition to play with. You know, I've worked out here for the last 2-3 weeks pretty hard and had a lot of fun, but you need the game competition to get sharp.
You're looking forward to going over there and playing in Europe, and if that were to materialize for you, would an NHL career be too far down the line if the right offer came along?
That'll depend on how I do. It's been it's been a long year sitting out and watching, but you know, I think I've learned and I'm ready to play again.
Okay, all right. Now let's go back, if we can, to this ball game that we're concerned about. Obviously, right now, Wisconsin, Minnesota. Just how tired and how frustrated are those Gophers right now, trailing by 4 goals?
Well, I think you'd think Wisconsin would be tired, but the way the game's going now, Minnesota's tired, and they're taking bad penalties and keeping Wisconsin, you know, on the power play. And Minnesota's now fighting to stay in the game.
Do you think they've lost their cool?
I think they have. They haven't been down, I think, too much this year at all, and they're in a different situation. I think right now they know how to handle it.
With the kind of scoring machine that they have, can Minnesota come back from a 4-goal deficit?
Oh, definitely. You know, a couple Wisconsin breaks, a couple goals by Minnesota, and they're right back in it. And
how important is for that guy in the nets for Wisconsin right now, Mr. Barron?
I think it's not him that's so important now. He's done his job. I think the defense and the wings got to keep coming back and helping him, so to make his job easier.
Are you surprised at the tempo of the game thus far, that it's 5-1 Wisconsin instead of maybe 5-1 Minnesota?
I thought it would be a much closer game, and if anything, Minnesota would have the, you know, blow somebody out.
Do you think that what has been really the key to Wisconsin's success tonight? Their defense, just their forechecking and back-checking as well?
I think they're coming back all the way back to the net and helping out. They're coming back 5 guys, and they want the puck more. They're getting in the corner quicker than Minnesota, and they're getting all the loose pucks, where even when they don't have the power play.
Okay, the Badgers have gone 2/3 of the way there to their 3rd national title. We'll see if they can make it through the last 20 minutes up in Duluth. But first, we'll have these messages before we go back up to Duluth, Minnesota for the last period of the NCAA championship between the Badgers and the Gophers.
Joe Boyle, Bill Neal, Tom Mees back here at the Duluth Arena, Duluth, Minnesota, where after 2 periods of play, the Badgers of Wisconsin threatening to upset the #1 rated team in the country, the University of Minnesota. The Badgers have a 5-1 lead after 2 periods of play and just 1 more period, 20 more minutes of regulation time remaining for the Minnesota Gophers to try to come back and do something about winning the 1981 NCAA championship. Bill Neal, 4 goals is a bundle, but this Minnesota team can score in a hurry.
Well, they can, Joe. They average 5.8 goals per game on the season, 6.4 goals per game through the playoffs, so they, of course, are well below that average. They scored 7 against Michigan Tech in the opening game, so they have a potent offense, and if they can get it untracked and get some momentum, perhaps they can get back in the game.
Tom Mees, you've been downstairs and had a little bit of a chance to mingle with the fans. What's the general tone of the conversation there?
Well, it all depends which side you talk to. The Wisconsin people are already beginning to party. And let me tell you, Duluth, Minnesota better batten down the hatches if Wisconsin goes on to win the national championship. The Minnesota people are a bit frustrated. They feel their team should have gotten a few more pucks past Mark Barron in the goal. But that is not the case. 5-1 is the score. I might say this. I really feel like I've been at a hockey game. I got initiated halfway through that second period when the inevitable rubber chicken was delivered to the penalty box. But the referee took it away from me. Said he wanted to take it home to his kid. So the rubber chicken is here.
All right. Can't get there. It is the proverbial rubber chicken. And for Bill Neal, I would just like to. Well, here are the shots on goal in that period, 14-10 in favor of Wisconsin. And the penalty minutes, both teams with 3 penalties for 6 minutes in that period. Wisconsin has outshot the Badgers Wisconsin has outshot the Gophers 25-18 through the 2 periods. There you saw the power play conversions. Minnesota unable to convert on the power play, and evidently Badger fans right there because they're dancing in the aisles. I would just like to add the thanks of Bill Neal and myself to all of the people we have worked with all over the country, because Bill and I are the people you see in front of the camera, but the hard-working crews we have behind make all of what we do very, very possible, and they do just a tremendous job.
They really do. Absolutely. Allowing Minnesota to gain that momentum we talked about.
Kanoki with the puck, drives the shot, scores! Wisconsin,
big goal.
A man short as Ethier was still in the penalty box. It's Minnesota's first power play goal of the game, and they have cut the margin to 2. So now the next goal, so very, very important. Kanoki scores for Minnesota.
Big goal, drive from the point. I think Barron saw it all the way. It seemed to deflect off his glove up high into the netting. Mike Kanoki's 15th goal of the season, 5'11", 180-pound senior from Minneapolis. He had 1 assist against Michigan Tech, and that could be a very big goal for Minnesota as they narrow the gap to 5-2 with just 10 seconds gone in the 3rd period, and that should give them a lift, should get them the momentum they need.
Jensen and Aaron Broten get the assist 10 seconds into the 2nd period. Both teams at full strength now. The puck into the Minnesota zone. Next goal now, very, very important. Wisconsin gets it. They're back in the driver's seat. Minnesota gets it. They could have the momentum swinging their way. Long pass out at center ice. McKenzie let it slide by him, so they wave off any icing call. The puck in the Wisconsin zone. Minnesota forechecking in deep, tying up there, and we'll have a face-off coming up. Again, that Minnesota goal on the power play. Kanoki from Aaron Broten and Dave Jensen at 10 seconds of the 3rd period. It is 5-2.
Go on the positive side for Minnesota.
Excuse me for laughing, but Brad Buto really breaks your proverbial coach's attitude back at the bench. He doesn't walk back and forth.
No, he gets a 0 on the 10 scale for pacing. Bob Johnson does a great job up on the bench, though. He's about an 8.5.
Puck in the Wisconsin zone. They clear it out to center ice and drive it back into the Minnesota end. This is Bart Larson after it. Buddy sets it up for him. Larson clears it away to the side. Hartzler steers it up along the board, stolen away by Scott Lacey, and right out in front, he put it on the stick of Liebler. He tipped it wide. Puck in the Minnesota zone, held in by Ethier. Dumps it into the far corner for Todd Lacey. Out front, a drive, and Butters makes the save off the stick of Scott Lacey. Lacey trying to jam it in on the short side. Puck still in the Minnesota zone. Olseth has it. Minnesota very sloppy in their passing right now. They have done this throughout the game. They just have not had any zip on their passes for the most part. And it has brought them trouble in the form of Wisconsin defenders all over them. Now Hartzell moves back to center ice. Hartzell into the Wisconsin zone. Drop pass goes between the legs of Larson, and Wisconsin breaks out 2-on-2. Scott Lacey slides it over to Liebler, and it's deflected by Meadows, goes up into the crowd. Evidently Meadows did not deflect it. He just pulled the trigger and put it up high because the faceoff will be, if Meadows did deflect it, the faceoff will be now in the Minnesota zone.
Well, I was going to say a moment ago, the positive thing for Wisconsin, if you can get a positive aspect out of getting scored on, is that gap cut to 3 goals now. They know they have to go out and play good, aggressive, persistent hockey that they played the first 2 periods. They cannot afford the luxury of sitting back, and they did come back very strongly right after the goal.
Face off to Butters' right, controlled by Wisconsin. Badgers holding it in. They dump it in for Mullins. Mullins moving in front, trying to get the backhand shot off. He's dumped. And Minnesota clears out to center ice. This is Andringa back after it. Drives into the Minnesota end. Butters back at the goal. Leaves it for Meadows. Meadows put it right on the stick of Johansson. Dumped it right out on his stick. There was no Minnesota player in sight. Now McFarland fails to pick up the puck. Goshen after for Minnesota. Goshen trying to put it in front. It comes out to Teal. Shoots. Hits traffic with it as Andringa went down to block the shot. Wisconsin clears to center ice, and Johansson dumps it into the Minnesota zone. Butters drops it off for Jensen. 17:40 remaining in the third period. Minnesota down by 3, 5-2 to the Badgers of Wisconsin. There's one of those bounces we were talking about earlier, and just exactly why the netminders have not been going back at the goal, Bill.
Neal, Broten, Aaron Broten, Butsy Erickson, Olseth, and a few others have gotten a lot of the accolades for the University of Minnesota, but in this hockey game, Teal, Bukestad, and Goshen have really provided much of the firepower. Here is Badger Bob Johnson, his 14th season, and he is a very emotional coach. He just stands completely up in the bench.
Well, only one.
Come on, hurry up, clock. Tick on down.
Only one NCAA championship has been decided by 3 goals in over 10 years. That was Michigan Tech over Minnesota back in 1975, and the Gophers are again on the short end of a 3-goal deficit, 5-2 here against Wisconsin. Face off in the center ice area. Minnesota just, Bill, and I'm not trying to criticize them, but they just have seemed very lifeless in this game. They have not had the quickness that they had the other evening against Michigan Tech, and they just have not been on top of the puck as they were in that game.
No, they have not. They are just not playing, I don't think, up to their capabilities, and in a game of this nature, you have to execute, you have to play at your best. I don't believe they are, but again, Wisconsin playing very, very well. They have just taken Minnesota's game away from them.
Well, as you saw on the graphic on your screen, 2 teams have met 4 times earlier this year. Minnesota took all 3 out of those 4 games. But right now, the Badgers controlling things. They lead at 5-2. Newberry. Puck held in by Erickson. This is Theron Welch with it. Around the boards, over for McKenzie. Held in. Oh, it went right underneath the stick of Jensen. Comes all the way back into the Minnesota zone. And Kanoki trying to loft it down the ice, puts it into the bench area. Face off in the Minnesota end with 16:42 remaining in the third period.
So Wisconsin, 10 straight years they have led college hockey in attendance. This year, 206,435 fans and 24 home games. They averaged 86.01. They had 20 sellouts this season. Tremendous hockey fans, tremendous support in Madison.
That there is. I saw one of the fans here before the tournament from the University of Wisconsin even had his license plates, fan, or fan, whatever, from the Gophers back, with Olseth turned away. And down on top of the puck for the Badgers goes Bruce Driver to stop play right there. Time not a factor yet. There's still plenty of time left for both of these clubs. For Minnesota, time imperative. But there are still 16:26 remaining in the third period. But they desperately need the next goal. If Wisconsin gets the next goal, it's a long, long, long way back. It's a long way back the way it is, but excruciatingly long would be the position that Minnesota would find themselves in if they were to fall 4 goals behind again. Face off to the left, to Barron, the Wisconsin netminder. Controlled by the Badgers, Todd Lacey with it. Scott Lacey picks it up and drives it back into the Minnesota end. Butters stops it behind the net. Picked up by Bart Larson. Larson almost mishandled it. Drops it back for Bergloff. Bergloff just manages to clear it out to center ice. Badgers drive it right back in again. Larson with it. Around the boards. Held in by Ethier. Cranks up the shot. Butters saves and drops it beside the goal. Minnesota clears it around again. Minnesota very tentative now. Quick shot. Butters saves. But a shot out front by Liebler. Now another loose puck. Butters is down. They put it in front. Butters still out of the goal, and Minnesota comes away with it. Big break for the Gophers there. Long pass to Neal Broten. Broten with Ethier trying to cut him off. And Driver goes to the corner. There's the puck away. Liebler with it. He and Olseth go to the boards. They tie it up there. We'll have a face-off coming up. Almost another goal for Wisconsin there. Neal Broten almost with the breakaway for Minnesota. And what a year the All-American from the University of Minnesota has had. Neal Broten going back to the bench there. He won both of the major college trophies, the Hobie Baker Award on the right and the Hockey Magazine Award on the left as the Collegiate Hockey Player of the Year. And this will be his last college game ever. He will turn professional and join the Minnesota North Stars after this tournament.
Minnesota again having problems in their own zone, and Wisconsin very close to breaking this game wide open.
Big defensive play by Bart Larson out front as he tied up the Wisconsin attacker. Here are the Badgers back again. Meadows picks up the puck. Around the boards for Terwilliger. First time we've seen him on the ice tonight. Now back for the Gophers is Jeff Larson. Drives it into the Wisconsin zone, still in the Wisconsin zone. And now the puck evidently came across the blue line because we get the offside call. So the faceoff will be outside of the Wisconsin blue line with 15:06 remaining here in the second period. Tom Mees at Minnesota goal brought the Gopher Rooters to life.
Yes, it did, but of course it's been several minutes now since Minnesota has scored that goal. They scored it only 10 seconds into the third period. Wisconsin recovering nicely, not letting the Gophers get that momentum going. For our late tuners in the Upper Peninsula area of Michigan, be advised in the consolation game, it was Michigan Tech over Northern Michigan 5-2.
Thank you, Tom. Puck back into the Wisconsin end, picked up by Minnesota. Knocked down out front by Johnson. A drive by Larson. That's deflected by Barron. It goes up into the crowd. We'll have a face-off on the Wisconsin end. Minnesota, too, Bill, as you talk about this game, just really has seemed reluctant to shoot. And they have not put an awful lot of pressure on Barron, and they have not taken an awful lot of shots.
No, they have not. Barron has played well when he has had to play well, but as you mentioned, he has not been that busy. Minnesota must apply much greater pressure if they are to get back in the hockey game than they have to date.
This is the team that at times has put as many as 67 shots on the board against their opponents. And in this game, to this point, coming into the third period, they had fired the puck 18 times, and that's all.
This will help them.
Penalty coming up against Wisconsin, so Minnesota about to go back on the power play. They scored the last time they had the power play. Penalty will go against Ted Pearson.
No question about this. Ted Pearson, who scored the fourth Wisconsin goal, hooks Mike Kanoki from behind, and 14:39 remaining. Finally, Minnesota able to convert on their last power play. They are 1 of 6, and as we've mentioned so many times in the game, operating at 36% on the season, going 37% going into the season. 4 for 6 against Michigan Tech, and they need one right here.
Face-off will come in the center ice area. Minnesota down 5-2 on the power play. As Pearson goes for hooking at 5:21 of the period. Badgers control the draw. Comes back into the Wisconsin end, and Dringa drives it off the boards out to center ice. Neal Broten feeds it over to Mike Kanoki, who got the last Minnesota goal. Now Neal Broten with it. Broten moves in, drives the shot. He misses wide on the right, also along the near boards. Feeds it out to the point to Kanoki. He fires, deflected out front by Aaron Broten. Puck held in by Kanoki. Drives it into the corner. And the Badgers clear it around the dasher. Kanoki trying to hold it in. Loose puck, Broten there to hold it in. Picked up by the Badgers. They clear it out to center ice. Knocked down by Kanoki. Kanoki with it for Minnesota. Moves in. Drives it to the far corner. This is Ndringa after. He and Kanoki go in. Kanoki way in deep. Minnesota could get caught with Kanoki in that deep, but the Badgers content to just clear the puck down the ice. 1:14 remaining in the Minnesota power play. They're down by 3 with 13:48 to go. In the third period, dangerous pass there as Mullen almost picked it off. Now Bart Larson along the far boards. Drops it back for Neal Broten. Slides it over to Steve Olseth. Olseth back for Neal Broten. Tips it over on the far side. Neal Broten in the far corner, meant it for Eriksson. Pass was behind him. Butsy Eriksson back of the goal for Olseth. Brings it out front for Neal Broten. Far corner for Eriksson. Tips it in. Barron saves, and Aaron Broten comes away with it for Minnesota. Drops it in the corner for Eriksson. Eriksson checked from behind. Still has the puck. Puts a shot on goal. Misses wide to the right. Olseth with it. 35 seconds remaining in the Minnesota power play, and now Wisconsin breaks out 2-on-2. This is Johansson. Picked off by the Gophers. Long pass for Aaron Broten. Aaron Broten checked out of the play neatly by McFarland for the Badgers, and now Here's Mullen on the breakaway for Wisconsin. Shoots, Butter saves. Rebound, a drive, Butter saves again. 2 shots for Wisconsin. Long pass for Neal Broten. Broten gets it away from McKenzie, but Barron comes out, covers up on it to stop play. 7 seconds remaining in the Minnesota power play. And again, Wisconsin comes very, very close to scoring shorthanded. Only Paul Butter stopped them.
Once again, tremendous penalty-killing effort by Wisconsin. Mullen up front, Kerluck. Shorthanded situation. They get the good scoring opportunity. Mullen followed up by McFarland, and again, Butters just holding his ground, made the 2 saves. We have a face-off back in the Wisconsin zone.
Badgers come up with it. Now Minnesota with it. Doshin out front to Meadows. 2 seconds left in the power play. Drive by Jensen. That is high into the crowd. Face-off coming up. And back on the ice is Pearson for Wisconsin. They have killed off yet another Minnesota power play opportunity. 12:37 remaining in the 3rd period. Wisconsin hangs on to that 5-2 lead.
So again, a hesitation by Minnesota. The shot from the point by Jensen, delayed momentarily. The puck was deflected by the Wisconsin player into the crowd, particularly on the power play. Important to get the shot through to the front of the net, look for a tip in or a screen shot or rebound.
Face off in the Wisconsin zone. Controlled by the Gophers. Charged right into the corner, trying to put it out front. Here's Peel a drive, and down in front to block that was Todd Lacey. Puck cleared around the boards. This is Driver after it. For Lacey. Lacey clears it down the ice. In pursuit is brother Scott Lacey. And we get an icing call. They'll move it back down into the Wisconsin zone for the face-off with 12:21 remaining in the period. NCAA Division II Gymnastics Championships coming your way here on your Total Sports Network, ESPN. You'll see it Wednesday, April 1st at 5 p.m. Eastern Time and 2 p.m. Pacific Time. All the grace and beauty of gymnastics coming your way here on your Total Sports Network with the Division II NCAA Championships on ESPN.
No fooling, huh?
Face-off will be to the left of netminder Mark Barron. Joe Boyle, Bill Neal, Tom Mees. Here in the Duluth Arena, Duluth, Minnesota, for the NCAA Championship Ice Hockey Division I play, and the championship will go to the winner of this game. Wisconsin with a handle on it right now, leading 5-2 over the #1 rated team in the country, the University of Minnesota's Golden Gophers. Great game thus far for the Badgers.
The town of Duluth had better brace themselves after this one if Wisconsin can hold on.
They may have to tie it to the shores of Lake Superior to keep it from floating to the Wisconsin side. The puck in the Wisconsin zone. Minnesota trying to hold it in along the near boards. The Gophers pick it up. Looking for somebody out front. Cleared away. Jensen, or Larson rather, could not control it. And now Wisconsin moves back to the attack. Fire it into the Minnesota zone. Vincent in pursuit. Checked out of the play very neatly for Minnesota by David Jensen. And Jensen heads back to center ice. His pass intended for Langevin. Picked up by Larson, a drive, and Behrens makes the save and then falls on top of the rebound. A good effort there by Jeff Larson. Behrens able to make the save.
Jeff Larson, the freshman from White Bear Lake, Minnesota. He's a walk-on to this team and starting to see some action. Did not play much against Michigan Tech. One of only 2 freshmen playing for the University of Minnesota in this tournament, the other being Tom Rothstein.
Minnesota will lose a lot of players off this team. They'll lose Mike Kanoki. They will lose 6 of them. They lose Kanoki to Williger, Olseth,
plus a couple of Brotens. Those are 6 seniors.
Both Broten brothers. Neal will turn professional, and just today, I believe it was, Aaron announced that he will turn professional also. Shots on goal in favor of the Badgers, 32-25 to this juncture, just as the score favors Wisconsin, 5-2. Just about halfway through the 3rd period, and time starting to become a factor now for the Gophers of Minnesota as they trail by 3 big goals. Puck comes back into the Minnesota end. They're going to have to start taking chances pretty quick, Bill.
Absolutely. They need one very quickly.
They have just played with seemingly no intensity in this game at all. And Wisconsin came out supercharged at the beginning, and they have played that way all the way through. Here's Johansson moving back into the Minnesota zone, trying to split the defense, but Knoke back to break that off. Off the boards, they clear it out to center ice. Olseth goes down, now picks up the puck. Olseth, the All-American, checked at the blue line by Mullen. Now Neal Broten trying to move in, slides it over for Olseth. Olseth dumps it over to the far side, nobody there. And Dringa for Wisconsin, now Pete Johnson. Johansson lost it to Bergloff. Bergloff carries into the corner, drops it behind him, and again, no Minnesota player there. The Gophers have dropped the passes in the right place, but there has been no one there to pick them up for the most part. An icing call will bring it back into the Wisconsin end for the face-off with 10:26 remaining in the third period, and Wisconsin still leading by 3.
You know, it appears that Minnesota trying to get just too tricky in the Wisconsin zone. They've had some good scoring opportunities and have elected to pass off rather than shoot. And now, especially trailing by 3 goals, they need to get some shots off and hope for a fluke goal or two. Anything to get them going.
Here's Todd Lacey. Lacey moving up the left side, fires a shot. Butters saves, has it caught in his pads, and just stands there and hangs on to it. Brad Buto, the Minnesota coach, whom you saw on your screen a moment ago, looking very dejected at this juncture of the game.
He once high jumped 7 foot, 1/4 inch when he was in college. I don't think he could get up a foot right now.
Brad was a great athlete.
He really was.
Tight end in football.
Yep. Good hockey player. Injury-riddled career, though.
Yes, he had problems with injuries. Otherwise, career may have been even brighter. Puck goes off the boards, banked out to center ice. He worked under the head coach of the University of Minnesota for so many years. Herb Brooks took over on his own last year and just missed bringing his team to the NCAA tournament when he lost a playoff game to the Wildcats of Northern Michigan. Has had 2 excellent years as the head man of the Gophers. Great percentage winning record thus far. Larson with it. Brings it off the boards out front. Meadows drives the shot. Barron saves, and the puck is cleared away to the side. Barron's has been outstanding. Here's Erickson trying to drive the shot wide to the goal. If this game continues as it is, Bill, and Wisconsin hangs on and does win the championship, there is the most valuable player in the hockey tournament. He wears, as far as I'm concerned, number 27 for the red and white of the University of Wisconsin.
Well, you and I usually agree, but I don't agree with that decision. I would go with number 10, John Newberry. I think he has really been an outstanding forward for Wisconsin.
I think either Newberry or Mullins could get a lot of votes in that department, but that young man, to me, especially in the game against Northern Michigan, just outstanding, as he has also been excellent in the last half of this game for Wisconsin. I'm sure Bob Johnson was glad that his father tucked him out of going out of the hockey system. There's the youngster that Bill was just talking about, Newberry, and he gets another shot on goal, and Butters has to make the save. He has 2 goals in this game. Almost had the hat trick a few moments ago. Minnesota puts the puck into the Wisconsin end. Badgers just very methodical right now, controlling the tempo of the play, controlling the play in their zone. They get the face-off with 9:08 remaining.
Well, Joe, you know, on Newberry, I base that on not just this game, 2 goals and 2 assists. Certainly he's having a great game. They have 5 goals, and he's been in on 4 of them. He had 2 assists against Northern Michigan, was all over the ice, dangerous the entire game, and kills penalties, plays on the power play, and goes both ways. I think he's just had a tremendous tournament.
First, we want everybody to know that you picked Michigan Tech to win this thing, so we have 9:08 to go. In the third period, Wisconsin very comfortably with a handle on things right now, with a 5-2 lead over the University of Minnesota. And Minnesota frustrated in almost every turn by the Badgers' aggressive style of play here at the Duluth Arena.
Just because I disagreed with you don't have to get nasty now.
The puck in the Minnesota zone. Teal fails to clear it out.
I have my Tech banner, though. Don't worry. I'm happy.
We're going to hang on to it till next year. Right, here's Knoke. And that's typical of the problems Minnesota has had. Knoke just lost his footing when he went in. Badgers pick up the puck and start back to the other end. Knocked down by Bergloff. Bergloff clears to center ice. Here's Vincent. Vincent moves it into the, offside, moves it into the Minnesota end, and he caught Gorowsky about 5 feet deep in the Minnesota zone. That brings the faceoff outside the Minnesota blue line with 8:28 remaining in the period. Now Mays the Wisconsin Badgers getting out their banners and horns.
Oh, I'll tell you, they just had a good old cheering session down behind that Wisconsin net. They were pointing to the scoreboard, pointing to what they called the winning net and the losing net. Maybe they're going into a bit of a shell, but who can blame them? They're only 8.5 minutes away from the national championship, and they're up by 3 goals.
Well, the Badger hockey team might be going into a shell, but I've never seen a Badger fan go into a shell.
Oh, no, they won't do that. They're going to break out of a shell.
Long pass up to the Wisconsin blue line. And playing the puck forward to a teammate with a hand is the call. We'll have a face-off at the blue line with 8:13 remaining.
Say, Joe?
Yes, Tom.
How would you like to be a tavern owner tonight in Duluth?
Now they're going right straight back to the rooms.
Oh, really?
Yes,
And you used to be a coach, huh, Bill? Come on, you know better than that.
Face-off just inside the Wisconsin blue line. Minnesota down by 3. They're 8 minutes, 12 seconds remaining, and the Gophers desperately need a goal right now. The Badgers just controlling things completely. Barons with the save there. Minnesota firing the puck now, Bill, but they're not getting the shots they were getting earlier and passing up.
No, but I'll say this, 8:03, if Minnesota could get a quick goal in the next minute or two and get the momentum, it can happen very quickly. The professional game, a 3-goal lead with 8 minutes to play is virtually a sure thing. Not so much so in college hockey, particularly with a high-scoring team like Minnesota, but the way Wisconsin is playing right now, they're just not giving them anything.
This is the 5th time I've seen Minnesota play it this year, and they just have not had the spark in this game that I have seen them in virtually every other appearance thus far this season. They just appear to be very, very flat. I've asked you this question before, but as a former coach, how do you explain that? A team going from one extreme to the other when there's so much talent there?
Well, I think they were a little bit cocky coming into the game. They had such an easy time over Michigan Tech. Perhaps they took Wisconsin a little bit lightly. They'd beaten them 3 out of 4 times on the season, and
but certainly after the first period, you would think that would have disappeared. And yet Wisconsin has continued to dominate the game, and they have played very, very well.
Well, but they've had 2 days to build, and they had a chance to come down after the win on Thursday night, and they had yesterday and all day today to get ready. And if you're not ready mentally going into the game, it's very difficult to shake out of it, and they simply have not done that, at least to this point.
You think that playing on Friday night might be an advantage in that respect?
Well, it certainly has not been in the tournament. 22 of the 33 winners were Thursday winners, but it certainly appears that means nothing to Wisconsin.
Here's a 2-on-1 break for the Badgers. Newberry moving in. He already has 2 goals. Loose puck in front. Underneath Butters. Nearly miraculous save right there as the Badgers looked like they were about to put it away for keeps. They broke in 2-on-1. Butters made the save. The official steps in, and I believe the faceoff is going to come outside of the blue line.
Well, that's why he's my choice. Most players would have taken a wild shot at the open net when he got by Butters, but Newberry very wisely held on and threw the puck. Well, the shot hit the goalpost.
No goal. The man was in the crease. Man in the crease. Evidently, the puck did go across the goal line. You did not see it from up here, but the puck evidently did go across the goal line, but the Wisconsin player in the crease, and they have disallowed it. Well, that's a break for Minnesota right there. That would have done it. 7:13 remaining. Time running out on the Golden Gophers, who virtually all season long were rated the #1 team in the country. Are about to have that honor taken away from them unless they can stage a big rally right here by the Badgers of the University of Wisconsin. The team that was eliminated in the playoffs earlier got a second chance at it and have made the most of it. They lead at 5-2 with 6:45 remaining in the 3rd period. They tie it up along the boards, finally dug out by Minnesota. And Gorowsky finally kicks it loose. Loose puck in front, and the Badgers come away with it. Cleared out to center ice. Picked up there by Larson along the near boards. He has it, put it right on the stick of Vincent. Vincent moving in. Vincent with Bergloff in front, drops it off to Newberry, and Newberry's shot is deflected by Butters. Butters has played very well despite the 5 Wisconsin goals. He has come up with some big saves for the Gophers. Minnesota with it in their own zone. Erickson clears it to center ice. Long drive. Butters steers that over the glass. That'll bring a stoppage of play and another face-off with 6:06 remaining.
Well, American teams announced earlier. 2 Minnesota players, Neal Broten and Steve Ulseth, joined by Steve Bozek of Northern Michigan, Mark Chorney, North Dakota, Tim Waters, Michigan Tech, and Paul Fricker, the very fine goaltender for the University of Michigan. That is the Western All-American team. Oh, my boy John could not quite get the handle on this one. Good play by Butters, used the stick very well.
Barron would have made that goal.
Get him down there with the big pads on a battle.
Right. Just caution, John. Puck comes out to center ice. Wisconsin drives it right back in again, and Dringa. The Wisconsin fans will begin their chant. And another 2 or 3 minutes as the time continues to run down. Long drive by Kanoki into the Wisconsin end. Neal ties it up along the boards. Dug out of there by Langevin.
Oh, that was a big save right there.
And the puck again comes out to center ice. Jensen with it. 5:30 remaining in the game.
Good save by Barron on Kanoki.
Puck comes back into the Minnesota end again. Kanoki tries to feed it up to Bukestad. Couldn't quite catch up with it. And the Badgers fail to clear it out as Kanoki is there to hold it in. McFarland. Now Kanoki comes away with it. Check from behind. Loses the puck. And here's Scott Lisi back for Wisconsin. Lisi shoots. Butters saves. Puck cleared away by Meadows. And now Bukestad with it for Minnesota. Around the boards. Todd Lisi picks it up for the University of Wisconsin. In the near corner. Checked by Kanoki. And Lisi took Kanoki's stick right out of his hands, threw it away from him. And Lisi is decked out front. Now Scott Lisi steps into the middle. And we've got a penalty coming up, interference call. I believe it'll be on Todd Lisi for taking the stick away from Kanoki. Just took it and threw it.
7 in the red, interference.
Now that is the call. I did not know that throwing a stick was an interference penalty. I would say delay of game or something. He gets the stick caught up in the face mask, and might make a pretty good javelin throw.
10th penalty of the game on Wisconsin, but Minnesota has not been able to do very much with their power play opportunities. They have scored just once on the power play, and with 4:54 remaining, they will have another go at it here. Time.
I might pull the goaltender right now, Joe. Put out 6 players and go for it all.
Time definitely stacked in favor of the Badgers of Wisconsin. They have been very impressive penalty killing thus far in the game. They have the face-off all over again. Todd Lisi goes for interference at 15:06. Minnesota back on the power play again. Wisconsin has allowed just 2 power play goals in their 2 games here in the NCAA Final Four. Neal Broten, headmans for Butsy Eriksson. Eriksson into the Wisconsin zone. Steers away from Andringa. Back out to Broten. Broten drives a shot. Deflection out front. Barron's there. And he has it underneath the pads to stop play. Face-off coming up with 1:46 remaining in Lacey's penalty time in the Minnesota power play.
Good save by Mark Barons. He has played very steady the entire tournament. Well out of the net, cutting the angle down, very aggressive. Covers up.
Face-off will be to the right of Mark Barron. Netminder for the Badgers of Wisconsin. Eriksson puts it back at the goal. Driver there. Clears it out of the zone. Neal Broten with it for Minnesota. Over for Butsy Eriksson. That's Johansson after him. Eriksson got by one man. Leaves it for Aaron Broten. Slides it over for brother Neal. He drives the shot. Is deflected out front. Also sweeps in. Gets the shot off, but Driver went down to block that. Kanoki with it. Fires a shot, and Barron's got the stick on that. He was screened by Alsup and Andringa out front and still managed to pick it up and steer it up into the crowd. 4:11 remaining.
This shot comes through a lot of traffic, and Barron's down on his knees, able to make the save and at the same time deflect the puck into the crowd. He does that very well. Steers the puck away from him into the crowd.
There have been very few rebounds around the goal mouth. Wisconsin 5, Minnesota 2, 4:11 to go, third period, 1:17 remaining in Todd Lacey's penalty time. Aaron Broten on the draw for Minnesota, and Ken Kerryluck for Wisconsin.
I'll tell you, Bob Johnson deserves an awful lot of credit. He has brought this team a very difficult series at Clarkson. They won that whether they came in the back door or not. He has really had the troops ready to play, and they have played virtually flawless in this hockey game.
They have made very few mistakes in this entire series. And he had them ready to play tonight, no doubt about that. Butters stops the long shot. Hartzell feeds it up the right wing for Eriksson. Eriksson, long pass up the left side. Aaron Broten with the puck. Has it back out front for Hartzell. Hartzell takes the shot, they score! There was a deflection in front. Minnesota is still alive. There was a deflection in front. May have been Aaron Broten. We'll see. Or excuse me, may have been Butsy Eriksson. We'll wait for the call on it. It is 5-3.
Now we'll get a look at it. The drive from the point, I think Eriksson deflected it. Yes, he did. This puck about a foot off the ice. Butsy Eriksson with his second goal of the game. He transferred from Cornell University a couple of years ago. He's a sophomore from Roseau, Minnesota. Played with the Broten brothers up there. Good look at it. The shot from the point, Eriksson's 39th goal of the season, 3:51 to play, and here they come.
Aaron Broten with 2 assists now has 105 points this year. 105 points on the season for Aaron Broten. He and Hartzell got the assists on Eriksson's goal, Eriksson's second goal of the game, and it is now 5-3. 3:45 remaining. If Minnesota gets another goal, don't give up your television set. Puck comes back into the Wisconsin end. Aaron stops it there. Driver clears it around the boards. Jensen trying to hold it in. Teal there, drives it to the far corner. Driver again clears it around the boards. Jensen after it for Minnesota. The Badgers clear it out to center ice. Scott Lacey has it. Into the Minnesota end. Butters leaves it beside the goal. 3:15 remaining. Wisconsin leads it 5-3 over the Badgers of Wisconsin. Todd Lacey holds it in. Puck goes to the far corner. Liebler has it for the Badgers. Liebler checked into the boards by Jensen. Teal in there. They tie it up. Face-off coming up. 3:03 remaining in the third period. 2-goal lead the University of Wisconsin.
Joe, good play by Ed Liebler, the senior from British Columbia, 5th leading scorer on the team last year, and his maturity showed right there. A lot of players would have simply thrown the puck in front of the net and blindly, and Liebler very wisely held onto the puck and took the face-off and kept the puck in the Minnesota zone rather than throwing it blindly and perhaps allowing Minnesota a breakout.
The face-off controlled by Minnesota. They whip it around the boards, but it's picked off at center ice by Theron Welch and dumped right back into the Minnesota zone. Here's Neal Broten. Broten up the right side. Broten trying to go around Welch. All tied up, lost control of the puck, and it's picked up by Gorowsky. He is checked by Olsen. Olsen battling back at the goal, comes away with the puck, gets it over for Hartzell. Hartzell fans trying to put it in front. Neal Broten there to pick it up. Neal Broten loses it to Vincent. Vincent trying to fire it up to Newberry, who was breaking at center ice, trying to catch the Gophers in deep, and now Wisconsin breaks out 2-on-1. Gorowsky and Vincent moving in. Gorowsky fans as he tried to get it into Vincent, and sliding across to break that up was the co-captain of the University of Minnesota, Steve Olsen. They trap it up along the boards. 2 minutes, 10 seconds remaining in the game. Minnesota comes away with it. Olsen dumps it up for Hartzell. Hartzell has Neal Broten with it. One of the Wisconsin defensemen fell down. Behrens makes the save. Big save from Mark Barron right there. Minnesota was just about within 1 goal. Puck still in the Wisconsin zone. 1:50 remaining in the game. And the Badgers clear it down the ice. This will bring an icing call. Face-off coming up on the Wisconsin end. 1:45 remains. 5-3 Wisconsin leads it. Tom Mays. What's going on downstairs? Well, never mind, Tom. We'll stay up here for a second.
The Wisconsin defenseman fell down, and Kevin Hartzell Jr. from St. Paul, Minnesota, goal and assist against Michigan Tech, sailed in all alone, and what a save by that young man, Mark Barron.
Now, Minnesota has changed goaltenders here. Jim Jetland will come in and play goal for Minnesota. This, of course, means that he will get some warm-up shots. And for Brad Butow, it means some time with his troops on the bench, and he wants to tell them what to do.
That's a pretty nifty little move there. I like that.
Gives Buto some time to gather his players around him.
Gives him a chance to rest the Erickson Broten troops, too.
Well, as we just said, the change of goaltenders gives Coach Brad Buto a chance to call the players that he'll be using now for the last minute and 45 seconds over to the bench, talk to them, tell them exactly what he wants them to do.
Used to be, the Wisconsin players talking to the referee, Joe, used to be that unless a goaltender was injured, if you put another goaltender into the game, he was not allowed any warm-up shots, and the reason that rule was in is to prevent the very thing that is happening right here. This is like a timeout. Now, the other side of that story is you put a goaltender in, perhaps who has sat on the bench for 2.5 periods, and you put him in cold, the chance for an injury is much greater. So that rule was changed, and they do now allow the warm-up, but it has worked for the University of Minnesota in this case.
I'll tell you something else, too. The Gophers brought out about 150 pucks. It's going to take them 5 minutes just to get the pucks out of the net. Tom Mees, you're down at crowd level. What's going on down there?
Well, I'll tell you, you ought to see the looks on some of these Wisconsin skaters. They're awfully tired, and I think the look on John Newberry's face told it all. My gosh, let's get this clock wound down. As far as Wisconsin is concerned, I'm tired. They're just hanging on with their fingertips here. They know they're under pressure from the great hockey team, but so far Wisconsin has the 2-goal lead, and deservedly so. They've outplayed Minnesota tonight.
Well, there's another tired young man, Paul Butters. Despite the 5 Wisconsin goals, I think Butters has played very, very well tonight. He's turned away some very difficult chances in this contest for his University of Minnesota hockey team. 1 minute, 45 seconds remain in the game. Jetland is about 1/2 of the way to the blue line. Face off on the Wisconsin zone. Minnesota trying to gain control of it. Along the near boards they battle, and we'll tie it up again. 1 minute, 38 seconds as the Badgers run 7 more seconds down off that clock.
Pull them right now, I would. 2-goal deficit. They have got to keep the puck in the Wisconsin zone. Very often that extra man will be just the one to do that.
Face-off controlled by Minnesota, but the puck picked up by the Badgers of Wisconsin. Mullen fails to clear it out. Now it's moved out to center ice. Hartzell with it, fell down. Got it over to Erickson. He drives it back in the zone. Jetland heads for the Minnesota bench. Minnesota will send a 6th attacker on. The Minnesota bench is empty, and Wisconsin comes away with a puck. Long shot, they score! Liebler drives the final nail in the coffin of the University of Minnesota. Wisconsin moves back in front by 3 goals, 6-3, and Wisconsin will win the national championship.
There goes Jim Jetland, rather, who just replaced Butters. And just as quickly as he leaves the ice, right winger, number 26, Ed Liebler, I talked about a moment ago, the very fine senior who made a very smart play in the Minnesota zone earlier, really puts the icing on the cake. His 2nd goal of the game, 28th on the season. He had a power play goal against Northern Michigan in their Big 5 win to get them here, and now he has just about ended it for Minnesota. Wisconsin will be the national champions, and look at Bob Johnson and look at the Wisconsin bench. Are they happy?
Well, Liebler at 1840 gives Wisconsin a 6-3 lead. And the long 6-month hockey season has come to an end for both of these clubs. Certainly both with excellent seasons. A great NCAA playoff for the Badgers of Wisconsin. And just a tremendous overall season for the Golden Gophers of the University of Minnesota, who will come away disappointed in their quest for a national championship this year. Lacey moving in. Jetland kicks it out. Puck goes to the far corner. 50 seconds remaining in the game. And the Badgers will claim the national championship for the 3rd time here in the 1981 NCAA playoffs. Offside call. The puck will come back out to the center ice area. Here come the Wisconsin Rooters now. They're sure of themselves now, I think, Bill.
I would say so. They won the last time in 1977. 4-3 over New Hampshire, 6-5 over Michigan, both overtime games. The previous time was 1973.
We've just received the word that netminder for Wisconsin, Mark Barron, has been voted the most valuable player in the 1981 NCAA tournament.
See, I put the curse on Newberry by voting for him. That's
well, I really do feel that Barron is played very, very well for the Badgers.
Oh, no question. He has played very well.
Well, I know Coach Bob Johnson credited him with the victory over Clarkson that got the Badgers to this tournament. Minnesota with the puck. Terwilliger gets the shot off. 25 seconds left. Time just running down. Now they try to jam it in by Barron, and even that will not succeed against the Wisconsin netminder, who has been like a stone wall in that goal throughout this game and throughout the battle with Northern Michigan. Certainly you have to take your hats off to these Badgers and Coach Bob Johnson. They came into this game, and I think, Bill, that the major difference may have been that they just wanted it a little more. They were on top of the loose pucks quicker. They were into the openings quicker, and they took advantage of every opportunity that was presented to them.
Very, very sound hockey. Forwards have played fine offensively, of course, scoring 6 goals. They've back-checked with tenacity. The Wisconsin defense clearing the Minnesota players in front of the net. They gave up very few rebounds, and of course, Mark Barron, very, very solid in goal. Very consistent goaltender, and just an outstanding effort on the part of the University of Wisconsin.
Picture of dejection on the Minnesota bench. Brad Buetow. Certainly Brad and his Gophers have nothing to be ashamed of. 33 wins on the season. #1 rating virtually throughout the year. And they just didn't have it here this evening. Badgers back in again. Final thrust. Jetland turns that away. Puck still in the Minnesota zone with 10 seconds remaining. They clear it out to center ice. You can hear the crowd count it down. Just listen to them. Terwilliger breaking in. Barron's with another big save. Here it is. One picture worth 1,000 words, they say, and there is the picture that describes complete jubilation in college hockey as the Badgers of the University of Wisconsin have claimed the national championship against the University of Minnesota. Brad Buetow has gone over, shaken hands with Bob Johnson, who now heads back to his players. And there, Mark Barron, the netminder for the Badgers, the center of attention, and the Badger Rooters going wild here at the Duluth Arena in Duluth, Minnesota. So the University of Wisconsin victorious by a 6-3 margin over the University of Minnesota, and they are the national champions of 1981. The Wisconsin band whooping it up down there. I don't know if we can pick them up or not.
Well, when you say Wisconsin, you've said it all. That applies to another pretty good product as well.
Bob Johnson, the University of Wisconsin coach. The Badgers, Scott Lisi there talking to Neal Broten. Good series for Lisi, excellent series. Well, the most valuable player in this tournament, Mark Barron, the goaltender for the University of Wisconsin. Tom Mee standing by downstairs with Mark, so let's go to Tom Mee.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. I'm with the most valuable player of this tournament, Mark Barron. Mark, what a story you are. You started the year as a 4-string goaltender. Now you're a national champion. Tell us how it feels.
I don't know. It's just, like I've said all year, everything's happened so fast and so quick that it's going to take about 2 weeks later for me to just sit back and reflect on it, because it's like a dream come true for me, because it's something that I've worked for all my life, and I really still can't really believe that it's happened.
They called this team the Backdoor Badgers when the playoffs started. Did that give this team a little more impetus to prove that that label was not deserved?
Well, I think that we played best all year when we were labeled as underdogs, and when we were put down, and I don't know, I think that for the way these guys played this tournament, the whole team, that they deserve all the credit in the world, and I really can't take that MVP. I'd have to give it to the whole team, because they just played fantastic.
Congratulations, Mark. Go enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
Mark Barron, the most valuable player. Bob Johnson, come in here, please. What a sight this is. Bob Johnson hugging his most valuable player, goaltender. Bob, first of all, congratulations. Your family's had a lot of thrills over the past year or so. Your son, Mark, on the Olympic team and now in the NHL. You have another excellent son playing for you in this team. Now you have a national championship. How does this rank?
Well, I'll tell you, it's a great thrill. And, you know, when we started the season back in September, Nobody ever dreamed we'd be in the national tournament, and I don't think anyone could ever dream we could win a national championship. But I'll tell you something, we've improved a great deal, and we became a real good hockey team, the end of the season there, and I think we grew up at Clarkson. We went into Potsdam, New York, and played a very good Clarkson team and came back winners and beat a very good Northern Michigan and an excellent Minnesota team. And we played extremely well tonight in all areas of the game. We killed penalties. We scored on the power play. We played very good defensive hockey, and Mark Barron was great.
What do you have to say about these fans?
Oh, they've been tremendous, and I'll tell you, I'm so glad they all were here to see this national championship.
Bob, congratulations to you. Now let's go back upstairs to the booth for just a moment to Joe Boyle and Bill Neal.
All right, Tom Meese, thank you very much. Bill, very quick comments.
Wisconsin finished 9th last year, and they win it all. They just played an outstanding game, as Bob Johnson had indicated. Great defensive hockey. They put the puck in the net. They did it all. They deserved to win.
Okay, thank you, Bill, and thanks to all the folks all over the country that have been so gracious to us this year in our coverage of college hockey. And hey, America, we'll look forward to being back with you again next year. Wisconsin wins the 1981 NCAA Division I championship.